In my past life, I utterly detested Gu Qinghan, even my own daughter. I didn't even allow her to call me father, yet the mother and daughter were always devoted to me until I caused my daughter's death in a meat grinder. I also caused Gu Qinghan's bankruptcy. As for myself, I was left by that wretched woman and my so-called best friend to have my limbs cut off. Only then did I realize I was wrong. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my daughter was kidnapped. Without a moment's hesitation, I kicked down the factory door. At that moment, Lin Xiaonian's small, trembling hands were clenched tightly, trying her best not to cry. In her heart, she had already whispered 100 times, "Mommy, save me." The next second, the dilapidated factory door was kicked open. The few people inside were startled by the noise. They all looked towards the door in unison, only to see a man standing against the light. Lin Xiaonian looked up and saw me. Her small eyes suddenly blinked. To confirm she wasn't mistaken, she even rubbed her eyes with her little hands. As for me, after kicking down the door, I immediately started searching for that figure. When my gaze fell upon the little girl, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. But before I could step forward, a man with green hair jumped out. "Hey buddy, who are you? You looking to die? Don't you know there are people inside? And you still dare to barge in?" Lin Xiaonian saw those men rushing towards me. She hurriedly stood up, trying to shield me from behind. "Bad guys, stay away from Uncle Lin." After hearing how she addressed me, my heart immediately clenched. It was I who had warned her before. If you call me father again, I will leave Jing Yuan forever. But now, hearing it felt so wrong. In the end, I suppressed my emotions and looked gently at the little girl who was about to rush forward. "Nian Nian, close your eyes. Wait for me to come over." Hearing this, Lin Xiaonian suddenly stopped in her tracks. This was the first time she heard me speak to her so gently. Although she was very worried, she still obediently closed her eyes and stood in the corner. I looked at my obedient daughter and smiled with relief. Then, I looked at the men surrounding me. My expression immediately darkened. "Who hit Nian Nian?" My voice made a few of them jump. In the end, it was the man with green hair who stepped forward to muster his courage. That big iron door must have just been old. Besides, he's alone. What's there to be afraid of? A few of them also realized I was alone. They immediately puffed out their chests and walked towards me. At this moment, the little girl still had her eyes closed. She suddenly heard the miserable screams of many people. Her little hands tensed and trembled. Is this for real? Who's practicing Tai Chi here?" The man with green hair clutched his broken left arm, retreating more than 10 steps, his eyes filled with fear. Then, he glanced at the little girl standing in the corner and immediately had an idea. He picked up an iron bar from the ground and swung it straight at Lin Xiaonian's head. I noticed what was happening over there. My face changed drastically. Then, I knocked down the person in front of me with one punch. Just as the iron bar was coming down, I blocked it in front of Lin Xiaonian. A sharp pain shot through my back. My vision went dark and I dropped to one knee on the ground. The man with green hair saw I was injured and raised the bar, intending to knock me out. I came to my senses, turned and grabbed the falling iron bar, snatching it from his hand. With a swift turn, I kicked the man with green hair to the ground, knocking out a few of his front teeth in the process. The others saw that the situation was bad, dragged their injured bodies, and scrambled to flee the factory. I put a hand on my shoulder, staggered a few steps, and half collapsed on the spot. It took me a long while to recover. Finally, I regulated my breathing and squatted in front of the worried little girl. Lin Xiaonian heard that her surroundings had become quiet and felt a little uneasy. Suddenly, she felt a warm sensation on her face. "Nian Nian, does it hurt?" My finger brushed against her red, swollen cheek. Lin Xiaonian opened her eyes and saw my eyes were red-rimmed, looking at her with heartache. "I'm not in pain." Lin Xiaonian quickly shook her head, trying hard to hold back her tears because I used to hate it the most when she cried. I looked at the timid little girl and wished I could slap my past self twice. "Nian Nian, let's go home." I wanted to take her hand, but seeing her stand so far away from me and looking so scared, I honestly pulled my hand back. The little girl stood up and dusted herself off. Then she looked at me walking ahead and obediently followed behind. After just a few steps, I felt dizzy. Meanwhile, on the highway, 3 black sedans were speeding along. Assistant Jang was driving. His face looked like he was about to cry. Half an hour ago, CEO Gu received a call from the police at the company saying that I had taken the young miss out. She immediately rushed out of her office, but not long after she left, she received a call from the kidnapper. Through it tracking, the young miss's location was identified at the factory, but my phone couldn't be reached. After searching, the last call was from An Lan. "Call him?" Gu Qinghan's face was full of anger, making Assistant Zhang shudder. After the call connected, a man's voice came through. "Assistant Zhang, are you looking for me?" Assistant Zhang tried to suppress his nausea and began to ask Mr. An, "Have you seen our Mr. Lin?" An Lan knew Gu Qinghan was surely right there, so he pretended to be troubled and said, "Assistant Zhang, I haven't seen Mr. Lin Feng. You called him this morning. Did he say where he was?" "He didn't tell me. At the time, he wanted me to look after Nian Nian for him. Said he wanted to meet someone, but I had something to do at home then, so I couldn't agree." Seeing that he couldn't get any useful information, Assistant Zhang quickly hung up the phone. Gu Qinghan leaned back and rubbed her forehead. After a long while, she tiredly uttered a few words. Let's go to the factory first. Back at the factory, we had just left the workshop when the little girl collapsed to the ground from exhaustion. I rushed over and picked her up. Nian Nian, what's wrong? I didn't eat anything this morning. I'm a little dizzy. The little girl nestled into my arms. Her cheeks were flushed. She couldn't help but clutch the hem of my shirt because I had never allowed her to get close. But this time, she had a reason. Hearing that, I breathed a sigh of relief and gently patted her head. Go to sleep. There'll be food when we get home. Lin Xiaonian nodded and peacefully fell asleep in my arms. When I lifted her up, a sharp pain shot through my back, making me furrow my brows. But remembering what Nian Nian had endured for me in my past life, I immediately felt no more pain. I'd only taken a few steps when the roar of an old car came from the distance. Then, 3 black cars stopped in front of me. I was a little stunned, staring blankly at the woman who got out of the car. I wanted to call her name, but no sound came from my throat. Gu Qinghan looked at the sleeping little girl in my arms, slightly furrowing her brows, seemingly surprised as to why I was holding Nian Nian. But when she saw Nian Nian's red, swollen face, her gaze suddenly sharpened. She rushed over and took the little girl from me. I was taken aback by her frightening gaze, and her defensive action left me at a loss. In the end, I watched the woman carry Nian Nian into the car and leave, while I could only stand there, stunned. Not long after, Assistant Jang was kicked out of the car. He was the one CEO Gu left behind to take me back to Jing Yuan. I looked up at the car disappearing down the road. My eyes suddenly blurred. The faith I had just tried so hard to hold onto was carried away. My legs gave out, and I fainted directly on the ground. Assistant Zhang, beside me, saw my pale face, and his mind immediately went blank. Mr. Lin, what's wrong with you? The person next to him saw this and quickly reminded Assistant Zhang. Quick, call CEO Gu. Gu Qinghan looked at the little girl lying in the back seat. 100 emotions churned in her heart. Nian Nian is your daughter too. How could you lay a hand on her? While she was thinking, Gu Qinghan saw the call from Assistant Zhang. She was sure that I was throwing a tantrum because I didn't want to go home. At first, she wanted to hang up, but in the end, she still answered the call. Speak quickly. Don't waste my time. The woman's angry voice came through the phone. Assistant Zhang's mind went blank for 3 seconds, scared by her voice. Finally, he stammered, CEO, Mr. Lin has fainted. As soon as he finished speaking, a screech of brakes echoed on the road. Gu Qinghan's face was grim. She immediately turned the car around and went back. The car hadn't even come to a complete stop. When the woman rushed to my side and helped me up, Assistant Zhang quickly explained, CO, Mr. Lin suddenly fainted. It might be due to low blood sugar. Gu Qinghan looked at me, my face as white as a sheet. Her heart suddenly clenched just as she was about to lift me up. Her hand on my back suddenly felt sticky. She pulled her hand back to look, only to see her hand covered in red blood. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan's face darkened. Her fingers trembled uncontrollably. Assistant Zhang, take Nian Nian back to Jing Yuan. Before anyone could react, Gu Qinghan had already lifted me up into the passenger seat of another car and headed to the hospital. Lin Feng, wake up. Hurry and wake up. Gu Qinghan held the steering wheel, while her other hand supported my head, letting it rest on her shoulder. At this moment, I was in a floating state. Unable to distinguish reality from illusion, I only knew there was a brilliant white light before my eyes, and a voice there kept calling my name. I don't know how much time had passed. How is he? Gu Qinghan looked at Director Wang as he came out. Hearing this, Director Wang took off his mask. His expression was grave. He's fine now. What did he do? To get injured like this? Gu Qinghan clenched her fists inside her sleeves. Her expression was dark. Go see him. He should be waking up soon. A few minutes later, Gu Qinghan sat by the bed, looking at me with my pale face. She was about to reach out and touch me, but her hand suddenly stopped in midair because she remembered what I had said before, telling her not to touch me, so she pulled her hand back. Just then, my finger twitched. I slowly opened my eyes. I wanted to turn over, but a sharp pain shot through my shoulder. Lin Feng, the doctor just finished applying your medicine. Don't move around. Gu Qinghan saw that I had woken up. She half knelt by the bed, holding my arm to keep me from moving. I looked at the woman before me, remembering her in my past life. The resolute look she had as she held me and died together. My eyes couldn't help but turn red. But seeing me like this, Gu Qinghan quietly lowered her head. Then she let go of my arm and stood up to leave. But just as she stood up, I grabbed her wrist. A burning sensation was transmitted. The woman froze. She looked down at me holding her wrist. Her heart couldn't help but leap with joy. Then she tried to suppress her excitement and sat back down in the chair. Seeing that I was lying still, staring at her, she gently patted my hand to reassure me. Lin Feng, who hurt you? Hearing her say that, my nose tingled, and tears immediately streamed down. Gu Qinghan had never seen me cry. Seeing this, she panicked. She quickly grabbed the tissue box from the bedside table and clumsily wiped my tears. Lin Feng, it's all my fault. You can hit me. You can scold me. Just please don't cry, okay? The woman's voice was as gentle as could be. I sniffled and wiped my nose. I want to turn over. The woman saw me lying on my stomach on the bed and immediately understood. Lin Feng, let go. Wait a moment, I'll go call a nurse. Are you afraid you can't turn me over? Hearing this, Gu Qinghan couldn't believe it and tried to confirm with me. You mean, you want me to help you? I nodded vigorously. There's no need to bother the nurses with such a small matter. They're very busy. Gu Qinghan looked at me, standing there struggling with her thoughts for a while before finally coming over and carefully helping me up. The woman's devastatingly beautiful face was right in front of me. The faint scent on her body made me unconsciously look away. Her small hands didn't know where to go and could only clutch the corner of my shirt. Gu Qinghan's movements paused slightly. She looked down at the silent me. I was momentarily stunned. Just as he entered the room, Director Wang saw our intimate scene and reflexively said, "In broad daylight like this, isn't this a bit inappropriate?" Gu Qinghan was startled by the person who had just entered and quickly let go, creating distance. But she reacted immediately after, looking at Director Wang with a fierce gaze. Director Wang quickly explained, I came to check on his condition." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan finally retracted her angry expression, made way, and took a few steps back. At the same time, I looked at the man in the white coat before me and politely greeted him. "Director Wang, long time no see." But hearing these words, Director Wang was a little surprised. He felt that there was something different about me. He really wanted to ask me directly if I had injured my head, but seeing the woman standing beside me, he ended up asking a different question. "Mr. Lin, are you feeling unwell anywhere? For example, dizziness?" "No, I just feel weak all over." "That's fine. A few days of rest and you'll be fine. You should stay in the hospital for a month." "What? A month?" Hearing this, I immediately turned to look at Gu Qinghan, putting on an aggrieved expression. Gu Qinghan hadn't seen the wound on my back. She only thought it was a scratch. "Why is it so serious? It takes 100 days for a bone to mend. You've broken it in half." After saying that, he shrugged helplessly and took the opportunity to leave the hospital room. Seeing this, I wanted to make one last struggle. "I can rest at home. Besides, Nian Nian is at home. Housekeeper's son is there to take care of Nian Nian. Just stay here and rest well." The woman rejected me without any hesitation. If it were before, I would have made a scene long ago. But seeing her sit so quietly, I was momentarily a bit unaccustomed to it. I leaned against the pillow and thought for a long time before speaking. "I am hungry. What do you want to eat? I'll go buy it for you." Gu Qinghan immediately replied to me. But she knew I was deliberately trying to send her away, beating around the bush, even acting weak towards me just to escape. Thinking of this, the woman gave a bitter smile. She even staggered, almost losing her balance. "I want to eat dumplings. The Tianji dumpling shop downstairs at the Guangmao building. In my past life, I always loved to eat them. I just never told you. I always went to eat them secretly." Gu Qinghan was silent for a long time before leaving. She tilted her head slightly and left me with words to wait for her. Seeing her go out, I looked at the closed door and sighed with relief. Don't worry, in this life, no matter how long it takes, I will wait for you. After that, I lay in bed, recalling the events of my past life. My heart was immediately consumed by hatred. An Lan, Liu Ruyan, I will make you wish you were dead. Meanwhile, at the shopping mall, Liu Ruyan had an impatient look on her face. An Lan, what time is it? Why isn't Lin Feng here yet? Lin Feng isn't there yet? That shouldn't be I. When I called him, he must have already been on his way. I've been waiting for hours, but there's no sign of anyone. Sister Ruyan, don't worry. Lin Feng must have been held up by something. I'll go to Jing Yuan to find him right away. Don't bother with him anymore. Let's go on a date. Hearing that, An Lan suppressed the urge to slap her. Calm down, calm down. Right now, he still needs this woman to keep Lin Feng occupied so that he can have a chance to stand by Gu Qinghan's side. Thinking of this, the man took a deep breath. Sister Ruyan, wait for me. You'll be right there. After hanging up, An Lan repeatedly called me, but my phone was always unreachable. He was so angry he stomped his foot. At the same time, Gu Qinghan was sitting in a rest pavilion outside the hospital holding the dumplings while eating her own portion. Why don't you bring them up to eat? Director Wang sat opposite her. Hearing this, Gu Qinghan looked towards the pond in the hospital courtyard, her gaze distant. He's already gone, hasn't he? In that case, it doesn't matter where I eat. Director Wang followed her gaze and thought for a moment. It's been 5 years. How long are you going to turn a blind eye? All the wounds, big and small, you've endured over the years. Some were caused by him, others were taken on his behalf at the Gu family home. Sometimes I really admire you, that you can endure all of it. Gu Qinghan said nothing, looking up at the distant sky. Director Wang knew that words were useless. He knew the love the woman before him had for me was already beyond saving. In the end, he could only let out a deep sigh. Gu Qinghan finished her dumplings, wiped her mouth, and stood up to return to the hospital room. As she turned the doorknob, her heart couldn't help but hope that I was still there. But the next second, the woman began to mock herself. Why would he wait for her? He's probably gone to find Liu Ruyan already. With a creak, the hospital room door slowly opened. The moment the woman looked up, I was sitting on the windowsill, looking at her. It's been 2 hours. I'm about to faint from hunger. After speaking, I saw the dumplings in her hand, and my eyes lit up. You didn't leave. Gu Qinghan rubbed her eyes hard, suspecting she was hallucinating. Looking at the woman's expression, my heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. In my past life, I would run away at any given chance. No wonder she doesn't believe me. I quickly adjusted my mood with a smile on my face. Didn't you tell me to wait for you? Hearing this, Gu Qinghan said nothing. For a moment she wanted to hug me tightly, but she quickly suppressed the urge. She was afraid if she did, I would hate her even more. Taking the buns, I looked at the woman standing by the window, a little puzzled. Aren't you eating? These buns are delicious. I'm not hungry. You eat. Gu Qinghan recalled sneaking a bite downstairs earlier, and she regretted it so much she almost stopped breathing. As for me, seeing she had no intention of coming closer, I felt a little disappointed. Perhaps she's still angry that I let Nian Nian get into danger. That's right. If I hadn't handed Nian Nian over to An Lan, this wouldn't have happened. Lost in thought, I held the bun for a long time without finishing it. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan frowned. What's wrong? No appetite? I shook my head without saying anything. Actually, I was very hungry, and besides, I was struggling with how to address her. Before, I always called her a vicious woman and whatnot. Now, I definitely can't call her that. Logically, I should call her wife, but to suddenly change how I address her with her suspicious personality, she would definitely think I was up to something. After all, we had just argued 2 days ago. To have a transition period, I thought for a long time, forget it, I won't worry about it for now. Can I go home? Hearing this, the woman immediately scoffed twice. What are you trying to do now? I didn't know why she was angry. I could only lower my head and say softly, I want to go home. The home you're talking about, is it Jing Yuan? Gu Qinghan's voice was full of sarcasm, but I nodded firmly. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan composed her expression, looked straight into my eyes without avoiding them, and then walked towards the door. Then I'll go find the doctor. I only reacted after hearing the door close, then a look of joy appeared on my face. At the same time, my heart was filled with guilt. What kind of woman did I miss out on in my past life? Discharge from the hospital? Are you sure? Director Wang in his office looked at the woman sitting opposite him, holding a pen and paper, his eyes wide with disbelief. Resting at home? What are the things to note? Don't tell me you don't know. How could that be? The wound must not touch water, no strenuous limb movements, and no carrying heavy objects. Apply medicine on time every day, eat a light diet, and come back for a follow-up in a week. Gu Qinghan carefully wrote down each item. You're serious about everything you do. Don't tell me you can't remember these few items? Do you really need to write it down? Gu Qinghan ignored him, carefully put the paper in her bag, and walked straight out of the office, leaving a stunned Director Wang behind. When Assistant Zhang came out of the hospital elevator, his face was pale. Half an hour ago, he received an order from CEO Gu that the Mr. needed to be hospitalized, so he immediately went to Jing Yuan to get his luggage. He had just returned to the company from the hospital, but before he could even warm his seat, he received a call asking him to return the luggage to Jing Yuan. Mister's things are all packed. Assistant Zhang bowed expressionlessly. I looked at Assistant Zhang with an impassive face and forced a smile. Assistant Zhang, thank you for your hard work. Wait downstairs for a moment, we'll be right down. Although I look weak, it can't hide my peerless beauty, just like that of you, the audience. This slightly dazzled Assistant Zhang. Coming to his senses, he quickly took the luggage and left the hospital room. Gu Qinghan entered the hospital room and saw me lying face down on the bed, and her face immediately paled. Lin Feng, are you not feeling well? Don't worry, I'm fine. I just feel weak all over. I can't walk anymore. I lowered my head with a look full of self-blame. Gu Qinghan took in all my small gestures but couldn't figure out what I was trying to do. She could only probe cautiously. Should I call for a stretcher for you then? Hearing that, my face immediately fell. Being carried out on a stretcher is so embarrassing. How about you help me walk? Gu Qinghan immediately froze on the spot. For a moment, she didn't know how to respond. Seeing her silence, my heart ached a little. After a moment of silence, I sat up, preparing to leave the room. But as soon as I got off the bed, I saw the woman's hand reach out. She even said, "Come here, you don't need a stretcher. If you fall, it's not my problem." My face lit up with joy. I immediately grabbed her hand. I wanted to press my whole body against hers. On the surface, Gu Qinghan was as calm as a breeze, but inside, a storm was brewing. I could even feel her breath continuously brushing against my neck. When Assistant Zhang saw the two of us stuck together leaving the hospital, he was immediately stunned on the spot. "What are you standing there for?" Until Gu Qinghan's voice rang in his ear, did he react. He hurriedly opened the car door. Because my back was injured, to avoid touching the wound, I sat sideways on the seat, facing Gu Qinghan. Gu Qinghan was handling work on her laptop. Previously at this time, my eyes were always glued to her computer screen. But this time, she could clearly feel a burning gaze on her. It was the gaze she had always longed for. She really wanted to turn her head to confirm, but she was afraid it was just an illusion. I watched her as my eyelids grew heavier and heavier. In the week before my rebirth, I was tormented day and night. And after rebirth, the kidnapping incident happened. It left me no chance to catch my breath. Now that I was finally in a safe environment, I peacefully fell asleep. When the sound of my breathing reached the woman's ears, she finally dared to turn her head and look at me. Looking at me, the woman gently covered me with a blanket. Then she averted her gaze. Her eyes shifted towards Assistant Zhang. Assistant Zhang understood. He said in a low voice, "CEO Gu, we've captured the man with green hair at the factory. He is being interrogated. Leave him alive. I'll deal with him myself when the time comes." Hearing Gu Qinghan's tone, Assistant Zhang couldn't help but sigh. She's only gentle in front of the mister. Outside, she's a real she-devil. The entrance to the garden. Gu Qinghan saw my tired state. Avoiding the wound on my back, she carefully scooped me into her arms and carried me out of the car. An hour ago, Nian Nian woke up and learned her dad was hospitalized. She sat dazedly on the steps, staring at the door. When she saw me, the little girl immediately stood up and ran over. But before she could say anything, she was reminded by Gu Qinghan to be quiet. The little girl covered her mouth. She looked at her father sleeping soundly in her mother's arms and quietly followed alongside them. I moved to Jing, Yuan 5 years ago. At that time, my adoptive parents, my grandfather and grandmother, had both drowned in a river after a car accident. The Lin Corporation was left without a leader. It was swallowed by the Gu Corporation. Gu Qinghan brought me, homeless, back to Jing Yuan. Because of the woman's fickle personality, coupled with the instigation of An Lan and Liu Ruyan, it led me in my past life to mistakenly believe she had orchestrated the car accident with the purpose of taking over the Lin Corporation and consolidating her own position. When I opened my eyes again, it was already 3 p.m. I sat up halfway. I looked at the empty room, wanting to make a call, but then I remembered my phone was broken. At that moment, I suddenly felt someone watching me. My gaze shifted to the doorway. A cute little head peeked out from beside the bedroom door. Her small hand was still gripping the wall tightly. Seeing me look her way, the little girl quickly pulled her head back and was about to run. I quickly called her back. Her little head peeked out again. Her eyes were full of expectation, but her body was timid. She was clearly afraid of me. Nian Nian, why don't you come in? Mommy said not to come in so I wouldn't disturb Daddy's rest. The little girl replied in a small voice. I also lowered my voice, trying to be as gentle as possible. Where's your mom then? Mommy went out. She'll be back tonight, is that so? Nian Nian, can you come here? I beckoned. Then I placed my hand on the edge of the bed and patted it firmly. Lin Xiaonian looked around. Seeing no one was watching, she scurried in. Uncle Lin, where are you hurt? Did those men hit you? Lin Xiaonian didn't dare get too close to me, afraid I would push her away like before. Hearing this, I suddenly remembered her last words in my previous life. Daddy, don't cry. I immediately felt a pang in my heart. With that thought, I got off the bed and half knelt in front of her. Nian Nian, do you still want to call me Daddy? Lin Xiaonian was stunned. Then she nodded vigorously. The 2 words daddy were what she said to my photograph every day. At this moment, the bridge of my nose tingled. I tried to swallow dryly. I hugged the little girl tightly. Nian Nian, Daddy, sorry, I'm sorry. Daddy will definitely protect you well. Lin Xiaonian felt me trembling. She used her small hand to pat my back lightly. Daddy, don't be scared. Mommy and I are here. Hearing her words, tears still streamed down my face. After a long while, I held her on my lap. Nian Nian, Daddy treated you like that before. Don't you hate me? As I said this, I unconsciously looked away, not daring to look at her anymore. The little girl shook her head. A smile bloomed on her chubby face. Mommy told me that Daddy loves me. He just doesn't know how to show his feelings. Mommy said that? I looked at the little girl with disbelief. Yes, Mommy also said that every time Daddy scolds Nian Nian, he regrets it and cries. She said Daddy doesn't like being too intimate, that it makes him uncomfortable. As she spoke, Nian Nian's voice grew softer. She unconsciously kept her distance. Seeing this, I subconsciously clenched my fists. My nails dug into my palms. Not long after, Lin Xiaonian suddenly grabbed my hand. Daddy, what's wrong with your hand? She saw red blood dripping to the floor. She didn't know what to do. She quickly turned to call the butler, but I ignored it. I hugged her again. Nian Nian, Daddy's fine. Can you let Daddy hug you for a while? Nian Nian, Daddy wants to hug you. When Lin Xiaonian heard me say this, she was so happy she couldn't stop smiling. After all, she had wanted a hug from her dad for a long time. Every time after kindergarten, when she saw other children being hugged by their parents, she was extremely envious. After a long while, I wiped the tears from the corner of my eyes. I let her go. Nian Nian, shall Daddy go with you? Daddy will wait for you. I'm going to change my clothes first. Lin Xiaonian skipped happily out of the bedroom. However, at this very moment, a servant came to inform me, Mr. An is waiting for you at the main gate. My emotional expression suddenly changed. Then I walked to the window. I saw An Lan pacing back and forth in front of the main gate. I casually told the servant to have him wait. After the servant left, I turned to look at myself in the mirror, because An Lan once told me that Liu Ruyan likes guys with Shamati-style eye makeup. So, my eyes were surrounded by black smoky eyeshadow. Seeing this look made me want to laugh at myself. Then I went to the 3rd floor dressing room to pick out some clothes. After changing clothes, I carefully washed my face, removing all the Shamati eye makeup. Half an hour later, I left the dressing room, satisfied. By now, An Lan had grown impatient from waiting. His temper was getting shorter and shorter. What are you guys doing? Why is it taking so long to announce me? Mr. An, you don't have an appointment. The master is busy right now, please wait. An Lan looked at the unwavering servant in front of him. He grew even angrier. Before, whenever he came, I would be waiting at the door. There was no need for an appointment. Is this your first day here? You dare to stop me? Don't you want your job anymore? The servant took a step back from his shouting. It was indeed his first day on the job. At this moment, Servant A saw the situation at the gate. He rushed over and pushed the new servant aside. He looked at An Lan fawningly. "Get lost, you dare to block Mr. An. Mr. An, I'm so sorry. This guy is new, please come in." On the other side, Daddy, is that you? Lin Xiaonian looked at me, now even more handsome than before, and hardly dared to recognize me. I chuckled. I half knelt in front of her. "It's only been a few minutes. How can you not recognize your daddy?" With that, I led Lin Xiaonian downstairs. But as soon as we reached the main hall, An Lan's voice rang out. "Lin Feng, are you okay? I heard you were hospitalized." An Lan had a worried look on his face, but when he saw I was safe and sound, a flash of disappointment couldn't help but appear in his eyes. I narrowed my eyes. Then I looked at Servant A beside him. "How did he get in?" "Mister?" The new servant just now didn't know the situation. He blocked Mr. An. I was the one who let him in. Servant A lowered his head. He felt his chance to prove himself had come. "This guy is quite smart, much quicker than that new guy." An Lan also understood Servant A's intention. He immediately spoke up for him. Hearing this, I continued to stare at Servant A. Then I turned to look at the clock. "I have to go meet my wife. If you need something, make an appointment next time." An Lan's smile instantly froze on his face. He looked at me in disbelief. "Do I need an appointment to see you now? Is there a problem?" I sat on the sofa. I took a sip of the tea on the table. I took a gentle sip. On the surface, An Lan smiled and said there was no problem, but inside he was cursing me relentlessly. I ignored him. I just took Nian Nian's hand. Seeing the two of us about to leave, An Lan quickly called out to me, "Lin Feng, I have something to ask you." But I didn't even glance at him. As I walked past Servant A, I informed him to go to HR later to collect his salary and quit. Servant A immediately froze on the spot. His face was full of disbelief. And my current attitude towards Mr. An was also seen by housekeeper's son. "So," she disdainfully said to An Lan, "please leave. Mr. An, surely you don't need us to see you out." An Lan's face turned red with anger. Finally, he left Jing Yuan with a gloomy face. I drove Lin Xiaonian to the Gu Corporation. Recalling An Lan's appearance, I couldn't help but sneer. In my past life, I gave him the best of everything. I even took him to parties, which is how he met Liu Ruyan. After the Ling Corporation was taken over, all the friends by my side left me. Only An Lan stayed with me. He even helped me pursue Liu Ruyan. But it wasn't until I died that I knew. The two of them had been together for a long time. It was my fault. It was my indulgence that allowed someone from an ordinary family to develop such extraordinary ambitions. "Daddy, are you angry with that uncle?" Seeing me frown, Lin Xiaonian tugged at the corner of my shirt. I stroked her head. "Nian Nian, no one is more important than you and Mommy. Don't pay any attention to that uncle from now on." Gu Corporation's meeting room. Gu Qinghan sat in the center. Her arms were crossed. The executives sitting below were restless and uneasy. Data Department 3 made a miscalculation. "I think you should replace the people in the information department." Gu Qinghan tapped her fingers lightly on the table. The person reporting froze on the spot. He gritted his teeth and finished presenting the rest of the document. He lowered his head and returned to his seat. The next person, the manager of the engineering department, swallowed hard. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. He stepped forward to report. At this moment, her phone vibrated. Gu Qinghan glanced at the screen from the corner of her eye. Her finger, tapping on the table, suddenly stopped. She saw the phone number was the landline for Jing Yuan. A sense of unease suddenly rose in her heart. After answering the phone, his son sounded troubled, because Gu Qinghan had previously ordered not to let me out. But the young miss wasn't included in that, CEO. Mr. Lin has taken the young miss and left Jing Yuan. At the foot of the company building, Assistant Zhang was sitting in the rest area outside, drinking coffee. He had just looked up when he saw CEO Gu walking out with a dark expression. Then he heard the two words, "prepare the car." Assistant Zhang put down his cup and hurried to follow. He didn't need to think. Seeing CEO Gu in such a hurry, it was certain that I had run away again. On the street by the Gu Corporation, I sat in the car looking at the towering skyscraper before me. I marveled at its magnificence. Then I saw it had started to drizzle outside. I parked the car in the outdoor parking lot. I took an umbrella from the trunk, and so the father and daughter walked on the sidewalk, talking and laughing along the way. The little girl excitedly stomped in puddles and played. It was only when she looked up that she realized they had arrived at her mom's company. She instinctively turned her head. She held my hand tightly. "Daddy, are you leaving?" Seeing Lin Xiaonian's instinctive reaction, I felt a pang of sadness. Then I bent down to wipe the raindrops from her face. "Nian Nian, Daddy won't hand you over to strangers anymore." On the other side, Assistant Zhang followed behind CEO Gu. He looked up and saw a person dressed in black, wiping Lin Xiaonian's face. Because of the angle, he couldn't see the man's face from where he was standing. "Why did you hand the young miss over to someone else again? And right at the company, no less." Assistant Zhang had a look of resignation. He glanced at Gu Qinghan out of the corner of his eye. He quickly took a step back. Gu Qinghan only glanced at the man's clothes before quickly rushing forward. Lin Xiaonian saw her mom coming. She quickly waved hello. I saw her reaction. I knew immediately who was approaching, but just as I was about to turn my head, I was suddenly pushed back several steps by a hand. I slipped right off the curb and sat down in a puddle. The umbrella also fell to the ground. Nian Nian didn't react right away. A few seconds later, she hurriedly pushed the woman away. She shouted angrily, "Mommy, why did you push Daddy?" When Gu Qinghan heard Nian Nian say that, her eyes widened. Then she turned her head. She saw me sitting miserably on the ground. She froze. After instinctively swallowing, she rushed forward to help me up. Lin Feng, "I'm sorry, are you hurt?" Gu Qinghan's face was full of worry. She used her hand to wipe the dirt off me. Then she hurried around behind me. Seeing my back wasn't wet, she let out a sigh of relief. Assistant Jang looked at Xiaogu apologetically and immediately spoke up. "To break the atmosphere, sir. Why are you here?" But my attention was entirely on the mud stains on my clothes. Gu Qinghan looked at me with my head down, at a loss for what to do. "Lin Feng, I didn't mean to. I thought. I saw someone wearing black clothes. I didn't expect it to be you." Gu Qinghan hurriedly helped me up. Her gaze was a bit evasive. The woman had only glanced at me for a moment, but her heart was already racing at 150 beats per minute. She was afraid that if she looked a few more times, her heart would beat so fast she'd pass out. I sighed deeply. I originally wanted to change my style to surprise you. I didn't expect it to fail. Gu Qinghan looked at my defeated expression and stammered, "This outfit suits you very well." "So it's all right then. How is it? Isn't it much better than before?" As I spoke, I deliberately moved closer to her, so close that I could see the fine hairs on the woman's face. Gu Qinghan forgot to breathe for a moment. A few seconds later, she stepped back. Then she turned and told Assistant Jang to prepare some clothes. Finally, I watched the woman hurry away and couldn't help but smile. "Dad, what are you smiling about?" "Smiling at how cute your mom is. Let's go." I patted the little girl's head. Gu Qinghan walked to the company entrance and suddenly stopped. She took off her coat and draped it over my shoulders. Seeing this, I looked down at my clothes. It really wasn't right to enter the company looking like this. She's so thoughtful. However, Gu Qinghan was thinking something completely different from me. She just wanted to hide me, not letting anyone see me, not even men. Unfortunately, with my face, I attracted the attention of quite a few young ladies as soon as I entered the lobby. But those gazes made Gu Qinghan very uncomfortable. Even her tone turned cold. "Why are you here?" I thought she was angry, so I quickly pulled Lin Xiaonian, who was beside me. Nian Nian said she wanted to see her mom's company. Hearing this, Gu Qinghan looked at the little girl. Lin Xiaonian got my signal and quickly nodded. I wanted to come see it, so Dad brought me here. Hearing the word Dad, Gu Qinghan instinctively looked at me. Seeing that I wasn't angry, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. In Gu Qinghan's office, there was always a new set of clothes prepared for me, so I went upstairs. After taking the clothes from Assistant Zhang, she told me to go to the lounge to change. The lounge was also decorated in Gu Qinghan's style. I glanced around, then took off my clothes. Looking at the large patch of gauze on my back, I shook my head repeatedly. This bandaging is a bit much. But as I was getting dressed, the sound of high heels echoed from outside the lounge. Then the lock clicked open. Gu Qinghan walked straight behind me, wanting to reach out but hesitating. "Lin Feng, don't forget to ask housekeeper's son to apply the medicine tonight. Can't you do it for me yourself?" Gu Qinghan didn't answer me. First, she was silent for a moment. Then she changed the subject. "Nian Nian called you Dad. Did you tell her to call you that?" I immediately nodded, indicating that I was the one who said it. Gu Qinghan looked at me through the mirror for a long time. Finally, she used the back of her hand to wipe my face. "Nian Nian is still young. She can't handle your hot and cold behavior, your push-and-pull attitude. Lin Feng, if you have any dissatisfaction, just take it out on me." Hearing these words, my whole body stiffened. I watched Gu Qinghan's figure leave the room. 100 emotions churned in my heart. She must think I'm putting on an act. Thinking this, I shook my head. I felt that I had brought this upon myself and couldn't be saved. I took a deep breath and returned to the office as if nothing had happened. I pulled Nian Nian to sit to one side. At this moment, Assistant Zhang looked at the two of us sitting on the sofa and timidly asked, "Xiaogu, should the meeting continue?" Gu Qinghan nodded. She put down the folder in her hand and then left the office. Seeing this, my heart sank. I felt a little disappointed, but the little girl seemed to understand my feelings. She immediately ran over. "Mommy isn't here, but Nian Nian is here with Dad." This time, I no longer felt disappointed. I happily pinched her nose lightly. However, 10 minutes later, I was really bored. So, I looked at Nian Nian. "Nian Nian, do you want to see your mom at work?" The little girl put down her book and nodded. "As long as I'm with Dad, he'll do anything." Hearing her words, I felt like I had received a royal decree. I immediately carried Nian Nian to the meeting room. After Assistant Zhang outside the door learned of my request, he immediately went in to ask for permission. After Gu Qinghan heard, she narrowed her eyes. Her gaze shifted to me outside the door. He really doesn't miss any opportunity to get company secrets. Let them sit in the back. With that, Gu Qinghan leaned back, a tired look on her face. "Lin Feng, if this is what you want, I'll give you everything. Everything for you. Sir, you two can sit by the wall." Assistant Jang came over, pointing to a corner of the room. So as not to disturb the meeting inside, the two of us tiptoed in. I don't know since when, the atmosphere in the meeting room became much more normal. Seogu didn't say anything more. She just nodded or gave a soft, "Mum." Everyone looked at each other until someone noticed that Seogu's gaze was always directed towards the corner of the room. I listened to the dry report and just felt even more bored than before. But Lin Xiaonian was listening very attentively. As for me, I could only stare blankly at my wife. This is only the first day of my rebirth. Thinking about what might happen tonight, my breathing became more rapid, but the two of us still sleep separately. For her to believe me, I must take the initiative. Remembering my past life, she had imprisoned me in Jing Yuan. Once, I snuck out to find Liu Ruyan. That night, she was furious and forced herself on me. Not long after, she discovered she was pregnant. In order to give birth to the child openly, Gu Qinghan even threatened Liu Ruyan's life. So our relationship became irreconcilable. Even a few days before my rebirth, Gu Qinghan got drunk and kept lunging at me. I pushed her down the stairs. The more I thought, the angrier I got. The more I thought, the more disgusting my past life seemed. Unable to hold it in, I slammed the table in anger. Lin Xiaonian was startled and instinctively called out, "Dad!" She thought I was angry. The meeting room suddenly fell deathly silent. All eyes turned to me. I snapped out of my memories. After realizing what I'd done, my face turned bright red. I wished I could bury my head in the table. Fortunately, Gu Qinghan spoke softly, telling the meeting to continue. Only then did everyone in the meeting room look away. Seeing this, I patted Nian Nian's head. "Nian Nian, Dad needs to use the restroom for a bit." Then I quickly left the meeting room. Assistant Jang saw me run out with a red face and immediately came forward to ask, "Sir, is the meeting over?" "No. Where's the restroom?" "Over there, around the corner." Assistant Jang pointed to the left. After I entered the restroom, I braced my hands on the sink and took a deep breath. Then I splashed cold water on my face. "Lin Feng! Oh, Lin Feng! Can you please stop embarrassing her?" I deeply regretted my rude action just now. I listlessly walked out of the restroom. From a distance, I saw them standing, the mother and daughter at the meeting room door. When Lin Xiaonian saw me approaching, she hid behind her mother. There were still tears in her eyes. "Dad, did I make you angry?" I suddenly stopped in my tracks, looking at the aggrieved little girl. "Nian Nian, why would you say that?" "Because your expression just now looked very ugly." As Lin Xiaonian spoke, she tugged on the corner of the woman's shirt. My gaze shifted to the woman. Seeing her expressionless face, I knew they had definitely misunderstood me, so I hurriedly explained. "It's Dad's fault. I embarrassed you and your mom." I half knelt, looking at Lin Xiaonian with an apologetic expression. The little girl blinked her eyes, let go of the woman's hand, and walked towards me. Then she used her small hands to pat my face. "Not at all. Dad looks very cute when he blushes." Seeing this, Gu Qinghan frowned and pulled the little girl back. "Nian Nian, I'll have Assistant Zhang take you home first. But Mommy, I want to go home with you and Dad." Before, Lin Xiaonian never dared to disobey her mother, but now it was different, because Dad was here now. I saw the pleading look in the little girl's eyes, and my heart softened. I was just about to look up and speak for her, but when my eyes met the woman's, I froze and fearfully stepped back. "Nian Nian, it's getting dark. You should go home and eat. Mom and Dad will be home soon." I watched Nian Nian being led away, my expression also a little fearful. "Aren't we going home?" 20 minutes later, the car stopped in front of a 5-star hotel. Gu Qinghan ignored my gaping mouth and directly pulled me out of the car. Is she taking me to a hotel?" I watched the woman getting the key at the front desk. My heart was pounding wildly. In the hotel's penthouse suite, the huge floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the night view of Lei City. The woman looked at me standing nervously at the door and said softly, "You'll sleep here tonight." "What do you mean? Aren't you staying here?" Hearing me say that, the woman was silent for a moment. "You sleep here. I'm in the room next door." "All right, it's late. You should go to sleep early." By the time I chased after her, the woman had already used the key card to enter the room next door and closed the door. Seeing this, I was a little stunned. Thinking about her saying it's late just now, I always felt like she was hiding something from me. Time passed until 9 p.m. I heard the faint sound of the door across the hall opening. I immediately looked up. Waiting until the hallway was silent, I quickly opened my door and followed. I took another elevator down to the first floor and watched the woman drive away. I quickly hailed a cab and followed behind. At this moment, I smelled a sense of adventure. After all, I am a legendary figure in the mercenary organization, the great love immortal lord. It's just that in my past life, I was imprisoned by Gu Qinghan and afraid Liu Ruyan would look down on me for being an assassin, so I requested to retire. Looking at the direction the woman's car was heading, I was a little puzzled. Is this the way back to Jing Yuan? After the woman entered Jing Yuan, I discovered a car at the main gate. After a closer look, I realized it was my in-laws' car. At this point, I suddenly understood. It must be because during the day, Nian Nian was kidnapped, so they came. I paid the cab fare and jumped over the west wall of Jing Yuan. I hid under the living room window. At this moment, in the living room, Father Gu slammed the table hard. Are you still protecting him? If Lin Feng hadn't taken Nian Nian out, how could she have been kidnapped? Anyway, we are definitely taking Nian Nian with us today. That man doesn't even see her as his daughter. I've already told you he's changing. Please give him some time. Don't tell me that nonsense. Where is he? Where did he die? If he's not here, then what happened today was an accident. Lin Feng was also injured. Hearing this, Father Gu snorted coldly. In your eyes, even a slight bump on Lin Feng is considered a serious injury. All right, the family has rules. This matter has to be dealt with eventually. Are you going to take the punishment for him again? This has nothing to do with him. The punishment that must be borne, I will go to the ancestral hall to receive it the morning after tomorrow. But hearing these words, Mother Gu was unhappy. She was so angry she trembled. Gu Qinghan, aren't you afraid of dying? How many punishments have you taken for him this month? You call Lin Feng out here. Is a grown man going to shamelessly hide behind you? Gu Qinghan was silent for a moment. Finally, she said one thing. Mom, you'll pick Nian Nian up in 3 days. Seeing that Gu Qinghan couldn't be swayed, Father Gu and Mother Gu looked at each other, said no more, sighed, and left Jing Yuan. At this time, a light rain began to fall from the sky. I sat under the window, and raindrops still wet my clothes. By the time Gu Qinghan returned to the hotel, it was 10 p.m. She changed her clothes, then came to my door. I had also just returned. I washed my face to try to hide my red eyes. As I stepped out of the restroom, I heard a knock on the door. So I rubbed my eyes and opened the door with a grin. What's up? You're not asleep yet? Gu Qinghan came to give me medicine. She placed the medicine bottle in my hand and turned to leave. I quickly stopped her. You're letting me apply the medicine myself? I can't reach. Hearing this, Gu Qinghan paused her steps. She looked at my pitiful expression, sighed softly, and told me to lie on the bed. With that, the woman entered the room, went into the bathroom to wash her hands. I watched the woman enter the room, then securely locked the door and took out the key. Then I lifted my shirt and obediently lay face down on the bed. After Gu Qinghan came closer, I could clearly feel her breath, followed by her warm, washed hands, gently removing the gauze from my back. When she saw the large bruise and wound, the woman's voice trembled uncontrollably. She asked me if it hurt. Ridiculous. I'm a man. Why would I be afraid of pain? But no matter how I explained it, Gu Qinghan remained gentle. Without turning my head, I truly couldn't feel her applying the medicine. A moment later, Gu Qinghan suddenly said, Mom wants to have Nian Nian stay over there for a few days. What do you think? You've already had her picked up and you're asking me? After a moment's thought, I grunted in agreement. Nian Nian hasn't seen her grandparents in a long time. It's good for her to stay for a few days. Gu Qinghan also replied with a grunt, then fell silent again. After finishing the medicine, she covered me with a blanket, then put away the medicine bottle and got up to leave. But as soon as she stood up, she suddenly stopped halfway. She turned her head to look at me, then lowered her head to look at her hand. You'll have to trouble you to rest here today. I'm going to sleep first. I didn't wait for her to say anything, but immediately moved to the other side of the bed and closed my eyes to rest. The woman kept staring at me. Finally, she glanced at the clock. After careful consideration, she still decided to rest on the sofa. As for me, after waiting for 10 minutes and not feeling anyone beside me, I opened my eyes. I turned my head and saw the woman sleeping on the sofa. Seeing this, I could only mutter how pitiful the woman was. After thinking for a moment, I took the blanket and 2 pillows and threw them all onto the sofa. Hearing the noise, Gu Qinghan quickly sat up, but immediately after, she saw me kneeling on the sofa, arranging the pillows. Lin Feng, what are you doing? Going to sleep, of course. With that, I placed the 2 pillows in position and then hugged her. Feeling my warmth, Gu Qinghan's mind went blank for a moment, but when she came to her senses, she immediately wanted to struggle free. Seeing this, I could only hold her tighter. Don't go, Qinghan. Hearing these words, Gu Qinghan froze. She looked up at me, seemingly sensing my body trembling uncontrollably. She hesitated for a moment, then still pulled the blanket up and buried her head in my chest. Gu Qinghan couldn't describe her mood. It felt like a dream, because today, I showed an unprecedented dependence on her, and these intimate actions had never even appeared in her dreams. Normally, she wouldn't even dare to think about it. Gu Qinghan raised her hand, wanting to touch my face, but she was afraid the dream would shatter, so the woman pulled her hand back and buried her head deeper into me. A moment later, the phone suddenly vibrated. Gu Qinghan quickly turned off the alarm. She turned to look at me, still sound asleep, and breathed a sigh of relief. The next second, she looked up and saw the key placed on the bed. Taking advantage of my deep sleep, she gently kissed my forehead. Lin Feng, you'll be right back. 10 minutes later, in a dark basement, Assistant Zhang followed behind Gu Qinghan, explaining in a low voice, Xiao Gu, the man with green hair has confessed everything about what happened at the factory that day, and he has confessed everything. He was injured because he was saving the young miss. Hearing the last sentence, the woman's steps suddenly halted. When Assistant Zhang saw the look on Gu Qinghan's face, he fearfully took a few steps back. After entering the cell, Gu Qinghan looked at the green-haired man tied to a wooden post and waved her hand. Yes, Xiao Gu. According to his confession, he initially intended to harm the young miss. In the end, he was stopped by him. I know. Wait outside. After everyone had left, Gu Qinghan walked straight to the table and began to choose a weapon. Normally, I can't even bear to touch him. I am afraid that touching him will hurt him. Yet you dared to strike so heavily. On what grounds? After she finished speaking, Assistant Zhang outside heard blood-curdling screams from within. Half an hour later, Assistant Zhang could still hear the miserable screams from inside. He couldn't help but shudder. Until the rain stopped, Gu Qinghan returned to the hotel. She went to her own room to shower first, then returned to my room. But when she entered the room, she saw me huddled in a corner. Gu Qinghan suddenly felt worried. Lin Feng, what's wrong? She quickly ran to my side and hurriedly supported me. Hearing this, I looked up at the woman before me. Gu Qinghan, where did you go? The kind of torture I suffered at the hands of Liu Ruyan and An Lan was being locked in a dark room with no sunlight. So when I first opened my eyes, not only was it pitch black, but there was also no one around. I was suddenly greatly agitated. Gu Qinghan looked at me with a blank expression. My insides felt like they were being cut by a knife. She could only hold me tightly in her arms and apologize. Lin Feng, you shouldn't have left. It's so cold underground. Can we get up? But she waited and waited, but still didn't see me react, so she gritted her teeth and directly picked me up until she placed me on the bed, then brought over a blanket and pillow. I finally came to my senses. I just watched her arrange the pillow for me and then cover me with the blanket. Finally, she stood by the bed and didn't move for a long time. After a long while, I reached out and took her hand. Wife, are you planning to stand there until morning? Hearing this, Gu Qinghan suddenly tensed up. Reflexively, she gripped my hand tightly. Her face was filled with disbelief. What did you call me? What's wrong? Does Miss Gu think it's wrong for me to call you that? It's nothing. Go to sleep. After saying that, Gu Qinghan climbed into bed. I originally wanted to say something else, but seeing her close her eyes, refusing to communicate, I had to obediently shut my mouth. 10 or so minutes later, Gu Qinghan confirmed that I was asleep. Only then did she dare to open her eyes. She just had to think about it, that it was for Liu Ruyan to get the 6 key cooperative projects of the Gu group. I even called her wife. She went crazy, to the point where her forehead was covered in a cold sweat. She had to get up and take the white medicine bottle from her pocket and put the last 2 pills in her mouth. No way, Lin Feng. You are mine. You can only be mine. Early the next morning, Gu Qinghan had already left the hotel early. After I finished dressing and opened the door, I saw Assistant Zhang and a few bodyguards standing guard at the door. Sir, we have been ordered to take you back. Seeing this, I let out a light sigh and then followed them. Everyone at Jin Yuan knows I have some martial arts skills. Moreover, I am the person CEO Gu spoils the most. Therefore, whether it was Assistant Zhang or the bodyguards, none of them dared to really make a move. It was just a formal obstruction. In the end, it's always Miss Gu who brings me back. After returning to Jing Yuan, I looked at the familiar room, sighed helplessly, and lay face down on the table, thinking about how to get her to lift my ban. Just then, Housekeeper's son brought me the new phone she had prepared for me. Housekeeper's son brought me the new phone she had prepared for me. I said thank you. I immediately inserted the SIM card and turned it on. The phone immediately displayed countless messages. 80% of them were from Liu Ruyan and An Lan, but I didn't even bother to look. I deleted them directly. I originally wanted to block both of them, but remembering my future plans, I still suppressed the anger in my heart. After 2 hours of fiddling, I finally erased all traces of those 2 from my phone so I wouldn't have to see them and get disgusted. At this moment, I was standing on the indoor balcony. Below the 2nd floor was a field of pink lavender. In my past life, Gu Qinghan suffered from insomnia, but she refused to take medicine. She could only use this method to help herself fall asleep. But the result was that I set fire to it and burned it all down the next day. As I thought about it, I couldn't help but curse myself again. Then I went straight downstairs. When the gardener saw me coming down with scissors, he was scared out of his wits and quickly hid to the side. A few servants wanted to tell me that this was something Miss Gu had spent a lot of time planting here. But thinking of something, they immediately shut their mouths. After all, in their impression, if I knew Gu Qinghan had planted this, I would definitely pull them all out. I paid them no mind. I took the tools in a basket myself and went into the flower field. She also doesn't sleep well. This place is so far from her bedroom. It would be more effective to pick a few branches and put them in her room. An hour later, I walked towards her bedroom with an armful of lavender. Both of our rooms are on the 2nd floor. One is at the easternmost end, the other is at the westernmost end. As a result, after pushing open the door to my room, I was startled because this room had nothing but a bed and a sofa. After a moment of silence, I shook my head and placed the bouquet in my hand on the floor. I ran downstairs to ask Butler Song to buy what I needed. Mr. Lin, if we do it this way, I'm afraid the mistress today will. Butler Song was in a bit of a difficult position. Don't worry, I definitely won't let Gu Qinghan sleep on the street. On the other side, at the Gu group, Miss Gu, the master, said he wants to renovate the room. He even wants to break down a wall. Butler Song looked at the workers coming and going. His face darkened. Gu Qinghan was flipping through documents and said softly, as long as he doesn't leave Jing Yuan, let him do as he pleases. Butler Song looked at the ended call and couldn't help but shake his head, looking at the situation. As long as I don't run away, even if I demolish Jing Yuan, Gu Qinghan wouldn't care. In the evening, I wiped the sweat from my forehead. Looking at the brand new room, I nodded in satisfaction. Then I went to the kitchen. Housekeeper's son, when is she coming back? Mr. Lin, the mistress called earlier. She said there's something at the company. She's not coming back tonight. Hearing that, my face immediately fell. I didn't even have the spirit to eat dinner. 8 p.m. The sky suddenly rumbled with a loud noise. A cold light shone into the room. Seeing this, I rushed to the window, looking at the lightning and thunder in the distance. I hurriedly got dressed, then jumped directly from the second-floor balcony. I rolled a few times and landed safely. Next, I hid in a corner, avoiding the security patrol. I climbed the wall and left Jing Yuan. I remember one night in my previous life, Nian Nian, because she was afraid of thunder and her mother was still working overtime at the company, so she finally bravely knocked on my door. But I chased her away. Nian Nian, just like her mother, never showed weakness. The more I thought, the more uneasy I became. So I went around to the underground parking lot behind Jing Yuan and drove back to the old house. Gu Qinghan in her office looked at the weather outside, thinking about me last night, cowering alone in a corner. She couldn't help but worry about me. Is he resting? Assistant Zhang immediately replied, Miss Gu, the butler sent a message 3 hours ago. The master has already gone to his bedroom to sleep. The woman looked out the window, thought for a moment, and finally gave an order. Prepare to return to Jing Yuan immediately. Meanwhile, at the old house, Lin Xiaonian was hiding under the blanket, covering her ears tightly, her body shaking uncontrollably. Just then, a knock came from the window. The little girl cowered in fear, not daring to move until she heard a familiar voice. Nian Nian, are you asleep? Hearing the voice, the little girl shot up from the bed in surprise. She didn't even have time to put on her shoes and rushed to open the window. Dad, why are you here? I looked around, seeing that no one had noticed. I then climbed in through the window. Then I hugged my daughter tightly. Did Nian miss Dad? Hearing this, Lin Xiaonian was a little shy, but still nodded vigorously. I let her go and gently pinched my daughter's cheek. Dad will tell you a story and lull you to sleep, okay? Dad, can you sleep with me today then? Nian, not today. Hearing my refusal, Lin Xiaonian glanced outside. At the lightning, Dad, but it's about to rain outside. I picked her up and put her down by the bed. Dad has things to do tonight. In 2 days, Dad and Mom will bring you home, okay? Lin Xiaonian heard me say this and obediently lay down to sleep. Outside, the wind howled and the rain poured. The girl inside, under my reassurance, fell asleep after a while. I put the storybook down, helped her tuck the blanket in tightly. The clock on the wall already showed 9 p.m. After thinking for a moment, I grabbed an umbrella, left the old house, and drove to the ancestral hall. The so-called ancestral hall is a place dedicated to punishing clan members who have made mistakes. Anyone from the Gu clan must comply. Even the head of the Gu family, Gu Qinghan, is no exception. I stood under an umbrella in front of the ancestral hall's door. The guard on duty heard footsteps approaching from a distance and hurriedly stood up to check. Who dares to barge into the ancestral hall? I'm here to accept punishment. Hearing this, the guard glanced at me, then his eyes widened. He blinked hard a few times. You look a little familiar, but you don't seem to be from the Gu family. Gu Qinghan's husband, Lin Feng. As soon as the guard heard this, his expression changed drastically. He hurriedly stepped back and made way. Right. I remember now. Young Master Lin, please come in. Inside the punishment hall, there were 2 other people. After the guard went inside, he hurriedly introduced me. This is Mr. Lin. I paid no attention to the few people with their mouths agape. I looked around. Inside the house, there was only a golden, sparkling Buddha statue. In front of it was a round cushion. I knelt straight onto the round cushion and signaled for them to begin. Seeing this, the 3 of them looked at each other with difficult expressions on their faces. Mr. Lin, Miss Gu will be here tomorrow. Perhaps you could wait a little longer? Oh, you don't dare. Mr. Lin, everyone who comes here is from the Gu family. I am Gu Qinghan's husband. How am I not considered part of the Gu family? But the truth is, the guards all knew I was the person Gu Qinghan spoiled the most. Every time I looked for trouble, it was always Gu Qinghan who came to take the punishment for me. In the end, they played rock, paper, scissors to decide, and pushed one person out, Mr. Lin. Then I will proceed to read first. At noon on June 5, 2026, Lin Feng arbitrarily entrusted the young miss to a stranger's care, leading to the young miss being kidnapped, considering no serious consequences were caused. The punishment is 5 lashes. What if she had been disabled? In that case, it would be at least 20 lashes or more. Hearing that, I silently lowered my head. No wonder in my past life after that incident she was hospitalized for a month, and I didn't even ask about her. I didn't even visit her once, Mr. Lin. Then we'll begin. With that, the guard swung the whip according to procedure. After a dull thud, I clenched my fists. Tiny beads of sweat formed on my forehead. This specially made whip, even with just 1 lash, is enough to make a grown man scream in pain. I instinctively looked up at the Buddha statue in front of me, although my body was in great pain, but just thinking about how that woman silently had endured so much for me, my heart ached even more. Soon, the punishment was over. Mr. Lin, do you need us to call a doctor for you? The 3 of them looked at my pale face and asked carefully. I staggered to my feet. Erase my punishment record. You all know what to say, right? Mr. Lin, we understand. We definitely won't tell the mistress. The ancestral hall has a rule, as long as one has been punished. The record can be erased. I nodded, clutching my shoulder. I felt a burning pain in my back. I estimated that my old wound was also affected. Finally, I took the umbrella and stumbled back to the car. Meanwhile, the lights were on at Jing Yuan. Everyone stood trembling in the main hall, not daring to look up at the woman before them. Gu Qinghan stared at the surveillance monitor. When she saw me jump out of the window, Gu Qinghan weakly slumped over, but finally gritted her teeth and stood up again. Seeing this scene, Assistant Zhang, standing behind her, inwardly cried out that this was not good. Gu Qinghan's medicine had run out. She hadn't had time to find Director Wang yet, find his location. I want to know where Lin Feng is. Assistant Zhang didn't dare to delay. He quickly took out the laptop he carried with him and opened the hidden tracker on my phone. The storm raged for a while, then gradually subsided. At this moment, at Guangying Bar, a white Rolls-Royce stopped by the roadside. I leaned against the car, vomiting continuously. Just then, An Lan's surprised voice came from across the street. Lin Feng, why are you here? Hearing this, I froze slightly. I looked up in that direction, and Lan and Liu Ruyan were walking over, one after the other, towards me. Seeing this, I clenched my fists until they cracked. I quickly lowered my head to prevent them from seeing the look in my eyes. Lin Feng, don't misunderstand. Ruyan and I met at the bar. As he got closer, and Lan hurriedly began to explain. Liu Ruyan coughed a few times and instinctively started to scold me. Lin Feng, why did you come to a bar? Do you know? If she sees you at a bar, what will she think? Hearing these words, I suddenly remembered my past life. I held it in again and again. Just as I opened my mouth to say something, the roar of cars sounded all around. Seeing this situation, my heart tightened. I saw a dozen bodyguards get out of several cars. Gu Qinghan, her face as black as thunder, walked up to me. Seeing this, I instinctively took a step back, and Lan saw the situation and hurriedly ran in front of her. Miss Gu, please don't misunderstand. I was the one who asked Lin Feng out. It has nothing to do with Sister Ruyan, but Gu Qinghan didn't even look at An Lan in front of her. She took the umbrella from Assistant Zhang's hand and had the bodyguards pull An Lan away. Then she held the umbrella over my head. Didn't I say your wound shouldn't get wet? Why did you go out without an umbrella? I did bring one. Nian Nian is afraid of thunder on rainy days. I went to the old house to see her. I only came back after she fell asleep. I happened to run into these two on my way here, I hurriedly explained. But Gu Qinghan's face was expressionless. She only said one phrase, let's go back. I still wanted to say something. Liu Ruyan's voice came from behind. Miss Gu, Lin Feng has already explained. What's the point of clinging on like this? Assistant Zhang stood to the side, gritting his teeth. He thought, if it weren't for me unconditionally protecting Liu Ruyan, even threatening to die for her, a mere CEO of the Liu Corporation, daring to say such words in front of CEO Gu, would absolutely not live to see tomorrow. Assistant Zhang, someone is bullying your boss and you're not going to do anything? I took Gu Qinghan's hand and looked at the silent Assistant Zhang beside us. Hearing this, Assistant Zhang was stunned. He couldn't react for a moment. Meanwhile, Gu Qinghan looked down at my hand. Her expression softened slightly. Let's go home. Leave the matter here for Assistant Zhang to handle, I said as I thought. If it weren't for my weakened body from the punishment I just received, I would have kicked Liu Ruyan away long ago. Lin Feng, do you know, Assistant Zhang want, for your sake, go easy on them. What are you talking about? Why go easy? Before I could finish speaking, Gu Qinghan cut me off and turned to pull me into the car. Arriving at Jing Yuan, Gu Qinghan pulled my hand and led me upstairs. Butler Song looked at the angry expression on Gu Qinghan and my silent self and sighed. He told all the servants to go rest. Along the way, I explained countless times, but the woman acted as if she couldn't hear. As soon as we reached the entrance of Jing Yuan, she pulled me out of the car and dragged me straight to the study. Then she locked the room door, walked up to me, and suddenly pushed me against the wall. Wife, I've already explained. I really went to the old house. If you don't believe me, you can ask Nian Nian. Lin Feng, I'm tired of your lies. Give me another reason. Maybe then I can still deceive myself into believing you. I'm really not lying. Lin Feng, why do you always want to leave me? I can give you everything. Why are you forcing me? I won't be heartbroken over you anymore. After speaking, she pushed me to the ground and pinned me to the carpet. I grimaced in pain. At the same time, I wondered why this woman's strength was so great. I am the great Da Aixianzun. Even if I'm injured, it can't be that I have no strength to resist at all, right? Wife, it really hurts. But before I could finish speaking, she covered my mouth, lying motionless on the floor. Gu Qinghan slowly dressed herself properly. Looking at my expression, she bit her lip. She took some clothes to cover me, then turned and left without looking back. A long time later, I sat up from the floor. The clothes on me slid off. My body was now covered in the marks she left. I was both angry and amused. She said she wouldn't be heartbroken over me, but in reality, she was rewarding me, thinking of the pain that started to torment me. I was in so much pain. My eyes rolled back, because my back had rubbed against the wool carpet for a long time. The lash marks around it were bleeding. At this moment, I was covered in injuries. I sat stunned for a long time. I dragged my body out of the study's closet and took out a set of clothes to change into. But just as I was about to leave, my strength suddenly drained away. The next second, I fainted on the carpet. On the other side, Gu Qinghan staggered back to the living room. She stood under the shower, taking a cold bath. She leaned against the wall and slumped to the floor. The cold water flowed down her hairline to the ground. The next day, Gu Qinghan went to my bedroom door, but she knocked for a long time without a response. Seeing this, the woman was filled with regret. She leaned against the bedroom door for a long time before turning to leave Jing Yuan and went to the ancestral hall. "Miss, you've arrived?" The ancestral hall staff saw Gu Qinghan and hurriedly came forward to greet her. The woman paid no attention to the people greeting her. She walked straight into the inner hall. Seeing this, the staff on duty quickly reminded her, "The punishment hall has no duties today." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan's footsteps suddenly stopped. "Why is that? Isn't Lin Feng's punishment over yet?" The few of them looked at each other and said nothing. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan frowned, turned and left the ancestral hall, and went to the old house. On the other side, the butler stood in the main hall and asked Father Gu, "Old master, Miss Gu has arrived. Has she finished receiving her punishment?" "The old master already handled it last night." Gu Fu nodded, then he saw his frowning daughter walk in and couldn't help but start mocking her. "Why is it that you could take a dozen lashes for him before, without even blinking an eye? It's only been 5 lashes. And you already have this expression. Let me tell you, you brought this upon yourself." Gu Qinghan acted as if she didn't hear. She just asked him, "Have you assigned the task to the ancestral hall?" Gu Fu was a bit stunned when asked. He froze. "Didn't you already receive it last night?" Seeing this, the butler immediately stepped forward. "Miss, last night at 10:30, the ancestral hall's records were cleared." Hearing that specific time, Gu Qinghan seemed to think of something, lost in thought. Lin Xiaonian, who had just woken up, came out of the bedroom. She ran straight to her mother. "Mommy, why did you come to pick me up so early? Didn't Daddy say you two were coming today?" Hearing these words, Gu Qinghan felt as if she was struck by lightning. Gu Qinghan knelt down in front of the little girl. Her face was full of anxiety. "When did Daddy tell you?" Lin Xiaonian clasped her hands behind her back. She shook her head, swaying her body. "Daddy told me to keep it a secret." Hearing that, Gu Qinghan's voice instantly turned a few shades colder. Lin Xiaonian, "Mommy, don't be angry. I'll tell you, okay? But you can't tell Daddy." Gu Qinghan immediately promised. Seeing that she had sworn an oath, the little girl giggled and said, "Daddy told me when he was putting me to sleep last night." Seeing Gu Qinghan still waiting for her to continue, Lin Xiaonian thought for a moment. Then she added, "Daddy knew I was scared of the thunderstorm, so he came especially to stay with me last night. He waited until I fell asleep before he left." "What time did he come?" Hearing that, Lin Xiaonian looked at her mother with a guilty expression. Her voice became a few shades softer. "Daddy came at 9 o'clock. He left after about half an hour. After that, Gu Fu came out after washing his hands. He saw his daughter leaving in a hurry, and Lin Xiaonian was also clenching her fists. Her face was full of anxiety. At this moment, Gu Qinghan's eyes were red. Going to the old house first, then to the ancestral hall. Returning to Jingyuan, passing by Guangying Bar. The route and the timing matched perfectly. Remembering my pale face from yesterday, Gu Qinghan's expression became even darker. Her hands on the steering wheel made cracking sounds. At this moment in Jingyuan, housekeeper's son looked at the intact hall and breathed a sigh of relief. "I've already called and contacted the furniture company to replace the furniture." As a result, Butler Song looked around, his face full of disbelief. Yesterday, the young Miss and Mr. Lin were in the study. Perhaps something there needs to be changed. "Oh, isn't Mr. Lin in the main building?" I think after arguing with the young miss, he ran off to the west wing. "All right, while Mr. Lin isn't here, they'll go clean their room first." After housekeeper's son finished cleaning my room, she took a rag and a basin and went to the young miss's room. Gu Qinghan's room had nothing in it. Every day, it took less than 10 minutes to clean, but I made such a mess yesterday, I wonder what kind of damage was done to the room. Thinking this, housekeeper's son pushed the door open, but seeing the scene inside, she immediately froze on the spot. She saw that the room's walls, previously white, had been changed to Klein blue, split down the middle with white. In the middle of the room was a double bed. On the bedside tables on both sides were pink lavenders. The room was fully equipped with a desk, bookshelves, and a computer. The toiletries in the bathroom were still 2 sets for 1 room. Looking at it, a kind smile appeared on housekeeper's son's face. She thought, the young miss will surely be very happy to see this. Not more than a few seconds later, housekeeper's son heard a commotion from downstairs. She heard that the young miss was back. She hurried downstairs. "Miss, you must come and see. Mr. Lin did your room all by himself." Gu Qinghan was stunned upon hearing this, recalling what Butler Song said yesterday about redecorating the room. She glanced at the closed door of my bedroom, then she walked towards her own room. When she saw the arrangement in the room, her mind was instantly in turmoil. Her footsteps faltered. Her mouth hung open unconsciously. Did Lin Feng do all of this?" "Yes, Mr. Lin worked on it all afternoon yesterday. Knowing you have trouble sleeping, he even personally picked lavender to put in the room." "Miss, look. On that bookshelf over there are also many children's fairy tale books. Mr. Lin must have prepared them for the little miss." Housekeeper's son sighed to herself, completely oblivious to the woman's face gradually turning pale. She clenched her fists under her sleeves, then she turned and left the bedroom. Next, there was a knock on my bedroom door, but there was no sound from inside. Seeing this, housekeeper's son, who had followed, quickly explained, "Miss, Mr. Lin isn't in his room. I just finished cleaning it." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan's eyelid twitched uncontrollably. The thought that I might have left Jing Yuan made her heart ache again. Fortunately, housekeeper's son noticed the young Mrs. Pale face and added, "Mr. Lin might be in the West Wing." The patrol staff didn't see him leave either. Gu Qinghan thought it made sense. She quickly sent people to search the west side, while she herself went to check my phone's location and review the surveillance cameras. So, she went to the study. But when she entered the password to unlock the study and pushed the door open, the blood drained from her face in fright. She instantly felt dizzy. She actually collapsed to the ground. The next second, she scrambled back up and rushed to embrace my unconscious form. At this moment, the blood stain on the carpet was terrifying, and my face was flushed red. My whole body was burning up. The pus on my back had dried up. Gu Qinghan let me lean on her shoulder. Then she lifted my shirt. When she saw the long whip marks, the woman's vision was blurred by tears. Then she screamed, "Someone!" She fumbled to carry my unconscious self to the hospital. In the hospital's examination room, a doctor was treating the wounds on my body. "Director Wang, should we call the police? This wound is too horrifying." Director Wang looked at my faint breathing and my wounds. He also frowned. "I will handle this matter. Take him to the operating room first. Prepare for surgery." With that said, Director Wang took off his gloves and left the examination room. Looking at Gu Qinghan squatting in the hallway, he swallowed the scolding words he was about to say. Although he didn't like me, this time he felt Gu Qinghan had gone too far. The woman buried her head in her knees. When she realized someone was approaching, she was silent for a moment before asking, "Lin Feng, how is he?" The last wound tore open. This time, the new wound wasn't treated in time. His back is swollen and red, with a widespread infection. It's causing a high fever that won't go down. The situation is very critical. Director Wang only spoke vaguely. He didn't say it outright, but they both understood clearly. After a long while, Gu Qinghan mustered all her strength to utter a few words. "Then I'll have to trouble you." Director Wang was a bit stunned. This was the first time he had seen Gu Qinghan speak such words. "I will do my best." Meanwhile, at the mercenary organization, Gu Yuediao was leisurely drinking tea, but the next second someone burst in. "Boss, a friend at the hospital told me Gu Qinghan's husband is injured and in the hospital's operating room." The cup in Gu Yuediao's hand shattered. She shot up abruptly. "What did you say? Which hospital is he in?" "Tianan Hospital." At the same time, outside the hospital's operating room, Gu Qinghan watched Director Wang walk out with a grave expression. Her heart sank. "The infection has caused systemic sepsis. He's currently in a coma. We are going to perform a blood transfusion on him. There will be some risks. Please sign this." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan looked at the critical condition notice in his hand. Her vision went dark. "Qinghan, we can't delay any longer." Director Wang looked at the woman with her head bowed in silence and reminded her again. So, Gu Qinghan stiffly raised her hand and robotically signed her name. Finally, watching Director Wang hurry back into the operating room, suddenly, all strength left her body. She slumped to the ground. Time ticked by, second by second. The woman squatting in the corner of the wall didn't move. The light above the operating room door was still red. After an unknown amount of time, the red light went out. The woman struggled to lift her head, looking at the person who walked out with lifeless eyes. Director Wang wiped the sweat from his forehead. Looking at him, he let out a deep sigh. He walked straight over. "He's fine now. He'll be moved to the ICU in a little while." Hearing these words, Gu Qinghan's tense body suddenly relaxed. Her mouth kept repeating Director Wang's words, "He's fine now." Seeing this, Director Wang rushed to the pharmacy counter. Then he ran back to give Gu Qinghan a sedative shot and gave her some medicine. A moment later, he carried Gu Qinghan into a hospital room. Looking at the unconscious Gu Qinghan, Director Wang sat wearily in a chair. In the evening, Gu Yuediao sat by the bed. Her expression was grave. At this moment, the door to the hospital room was pushed open. A woman holding a folder entered the room. "Director Gu, this is the injury assessment report." Diao took the report. The more she read, the redder her eyes became. Then she shifted her gaze to me. "Lin Feng, are you into S&M?" But halfway through her sentence, Diao also felt something was wrong. She was silent for a moment. She wondered to herself, "Is this the life you wanted?" Lin Feng. In another hospital room, Gu Qinghan opened her eyes and sat up abruptly. "Qinghan, you just took your medicine. Get some rest. Lin Feng is fine, don't worry." Director Wang immediately helped her up, but Gu Qinghan just pushed his hand away. Then she clutched her head. The next second, she looked at Director Wang. "Where is Lin Feng? Who is taking care of him?" Hearing this, Director Wang's face froze. He was speechless for a long time. Seeing his expression, Gu Qinghan immediately pulled the IV needle from the back of her hand. She pushed Director Wang away and rushed out of the hospital room. After a few breaths, the door to my hospital room was forcefully pushed open. Gu Qinghan entered the room and saw a woman sitting by the bed, wiping the beads of sweat from my forehead with a towel. "Who are you?" "Let go." "Who allowed you to touch him?" Seeing this, Gu Qinghan's eyes blazed with fury. If her hand wasn't on my forehead, Gu Qinghan would have lunged forward long ago. Seeing Gu Qinghan's emotional outburst, Diao's hand paused for a moment. She looked up at Gu Qinghan and tossed the towel into the basin. Director Gu, you hurt him like this. Is it because you're bullying him for not having a powerful family to back him up? Do you see him as a toy or a lover? Diao leaned back in her chair, observing the woman before her. Are you trying to manage my family's affairs? Hearing this, Diao said nothing. She gently raised her hand. The man in the suit behind her took out a folder and handed it to Gu Qinghan and the newly arrived director Wang. When they both finished reading the documents in their hands, their faces turned pale. Then, the man in the suit spoke at the right moment. Director Gu, your act of harming Mr. Lin constitutes a criminal offense. Director Gu, in her capacity as Mr. Lin's older sister, will file for divorce from you. Furthermore, Director Wang, regarding Mr. Lin's injuries, this hospital was aware but failed to report it. We will take legal action. Older sister, you're his older sister? Gu Qinghan mumbled repeatedly. Her face was full of doubt. Gu Yue Diao didn't answer. She just stared fixedly at Gu Qinghan. Gu Qinghan also reacted quickly. I will not divorce him. I'm afraid this matter is not for Director Gu to decide. With the documents we have, we don't need your consent at all. As the two were in a standoff, I opened my eyes while lying on my side. The first image was Gu Yue Diao's face, and a stranger. Sis, why are you here? Hearing my voice, Gu Qinghan instinctively wanted to step forward, but seeing Gu Yue Diao there, she stopped in her tracks. You're awake. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? Gu Yue Diao squatted by the bed. She used her fingers to tuck the stray hairs in front of my face behind my ear. I moved slightly. My whole body was racked with intense waves of pain, causing me to unconsciously frown. Seeing this, Diao's heart ached. She quickly got some water and placed a straw in my mouth. Don't move around. Lin Feng, what are you doing? Getting yourself into this state again? Why am I in the hospital? Where's King Han? Hearing that, Gu Yue Diao glanced towards Gu Qinghan, who was standing at the door, and sneered. Gu Qinghan, you just took a trip to the underworld, and yet no one came to see you. If I wasn't here watching over you, no one would even know if you died. Director Wang remained silent. Gu Qinghan wanted to speak, but didn't know what to say. At this point, I started to recall what happened before. I passed out after changing my clothes. Now I'm in Director Wang's hospital. So Gu Qinghan must know. Thinking this, I tried to sit up. What are you doing? Diao saw my actions. She quickly supported me. Call Director Wang for me. I have something to ask him. I wanted to sit up, but my whole body wouldn't move. I could only lie on my side facing the window. Director Wang heard his name. His expression was awkward. He thought to himself, does he want an injury assessment? When Gu Qinghan heard me ask for Director Wang right after waking up, she thought of the same thing. Enduring Diao's gaze, Director Wang quickly walked to a spot by the bed where I could see him. Well, Mr. Lin, I'm here. Where's Gu Qinghan? Isn't she here? Director Wang stammered, unable to speak. I looked at his troubled expression. My heart grew even more uneasy. I could only force myself to sit up through the pain. I'm so injured. How could she be okay? What if her hysteria acts up and she hurts herself again? Lin Feng, calm down. Even if you're angry, you can't neglect your body. Tell me what you want to do. Gu Yue Diao held my shoulders to keep me from moving around. I want to see Gu Qinghan. Where is Gu Qinghan? At this moment, Gu Qinghan couldn't care about anything else. She took a few quick steps and came to the bedside. Lin Feng, I'm here. Hearing her voice, I looked up to see the woman's guilty expression. Although her complexion wasn't good, she seemed to be generally okay. I couldn't help but sigh in relief. Then I reached out my hand. Are you okay? Hearing my concern, Gu Qinghan couldn't hold back. Her tears, she immediately grasped my hand tightly. The others looked at each other with expressions of disbelief. After all, the injured person wasn't the uninjured one. Are you okay? This is the first time I've seen a situation like this. The man in the suit watched this scene. With his many years of experience as a lawyer, he concluded that I had been threatened. Mr. Lin, don't be afraid. Miss Diao will seek justice for you. Hearing that, I frowned slightly. The image before me also became blurry. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan helped me lie on my side. While reassuring me, Lin Feng, I'm fine. Can you lie down first? Feeling the familiar warmth approach, my eyelids grew heavy. Then, I squeezed her hand tightly, and peacefully fell asleep. Diao saw this scene. She snorted angrily a few times, but in the end, she could only take a few steps back and sit down in the corner of the hospital room. And Gu Qinghan, seeing her give way, seized the opportunity to sit down beside me. After I closed my eyes, the hospital room became quiet again. A moment later, Gu Qinghan covered me with a blanket and gestured with her eyes for Director Wang to leave. Diao also dismissed the man in the suit. Now, only the three of us remained in the room. Gu Qinghan wiped my face, while probing with a question. Director Gu also came from the Qingshang orphanage, so... Director Gu knows my background very well. In recent years, the Gu Yue Corporation has quickly established itself in City A. It has become a force comparable to the Gu Corporation. As a competitor, I still need to grasp the basic information, right? His real name is Gu Yue Lin Feng. After being adopted by the Lin family, he only took the first two characters. Although the two were talking, their eyes were both fixed on me. Until night fell, I still showed no signs of waking up. The nurse came in to remind them that at night, only one person could stay to take care of me. Diao looked at my hand, which was clenched and not letting go. Finally, she reluctantly stood up and left the hospital room. Gu Qinghan watched her retreating back. Her heart was full of worries. Liu Ruyan alone was enough to cause our relationship to freeze over. Now that it has just thawed a little, something like this had to happen. Now an older sister has suddenly appeared to stand in the way. Thinking this, Gu Qinghan glanced at the injury assessment report on the bedside table. She unconsciously tightened her grip on my hand. Then she rested her head on it. Lin Feng, will Nian Nian and I lose you forever? I woke up again. It was 4 a.m. the next day. I don't know if Gu Qinghan was always staring at me. The moment I opened my eyes, Gu Qinghan came closer. Lin Feng, does it still hurt? I felt my strength returning a little. I looked at the woman in front of me. Her small face was downcast. Then I turned my head away. Gu Qinghan saw that I was ignoring her. She knew I was sulking. Lin Feng, do you want to eat buns? I'll go buy them for you. Although I was sulking, hearing her ask so carefully, the anger in my heart immediately vanished. So I nodded. Lin Feng, you'll go right now. The very next second after she left, before I could even turn away, Diao pushed open the door and entered. Looking at the woman who entered, I was full of confusion. Why didn't I recognize you? I stared for a long time, then my jaw dropped in disbelief. Sis, is it really you? I thought I was dreaming yesterday. Diao walked to the bed and sat down. She looked at me helplessly. Back then, you were desperate to leave the mercenary organization. How glorious. The great beloved immortal venerable was beaten and hospitalized. It's laughable to even say it. Hearing that, my face turned red. I turned my face away in embarrassment, repeatedly justifying that it was an accident. Then I suddenly remembered something and turned to ask her, you were here yesterday too? Didn't she ask about your identity? Hearing this, Yao Yue's expression immediately turned cold. She treats you like that, and you're still afraid she'll misunderstand? No, this injury was a misunderstanding to begin with. It's not her fault. Oh, by the way, sister, there are some things I might have to trouble you with. I had just finished speaking. Yao Yue directly refused. Never mind then. Goodbye, sister. Hearing that, Yao Yue took a deep breath. I really can't win against you. Speak. You plan to take on missions again. You want to return to the mercenary organization? The reason is I'm short on money. Even if the Lin family has declined, you're still Gu Qinghan's husband. Don't tell me. Gu Qinghan doesn't give you a single penny. She offered before, but I didn't take it. Now I regret it, but I'm too embarrassed to ask. Besides, I have a few things that require borrowing the identity of Da'ai Xianzun. As I spoke, I thought of Liu Ruyan. She's the manager of the Liu Corporation. With my current identity, it's not convenient to get close to her. But it's different for Da'ai Xianzun. Yao Yue thought for a moment, then threw the file in her hand in front of me. Letting you come back is no problem, but sign this first. I looked at the divorce agreement and the injury assessment report in front of me. My eyes widened. Sister, what do you mean by this? This injury of yours is enough grounds to file for divorce. You'll have a lawyer help you get out of this marriage. The other document is a share transfer agreement. Once you sign it, the Guyue Corporation will be yours. After you move out of Jing Yuan, come and live with me. Yao Yue was speaking, when she suddenly felt a warm touch on her forehead. Sister, do you have a fever? What are you trying to pull? If you don't trust me, I don't need it. Seeing me shake my head, Yao Yue's gaze immediately turned icy. I'm doing this for your own good. Don't you want to leave Jing Yuan? Sister, I know how to handle it. With that, I picked up the file in front of me, tore it in half and threw it in the trash. Hearing that, Yao Yue's face darkened. Then she angrily flicked my forehead. Finally, she stood up and left the hospital room directly. I watched my angry sister leave. I couldn't help but cough a few times. We were abandoned by our parents when we were young, left at the gate of the Tintuang orphanage. Then I was noticed by the Lin family. The two of us were then separated. After that, Yao Yue went out into the world to build her career and established a mercenary organization based on our class. As for me, to help my sister and earn some pocket money, I became the first member of the mercenary organization, taking the alias Da'ai Xianzun, and completed missions with her. In my past life, my sister didn't approve of me being with Liu Ruyan. I forcibly cut off all contact with Yao Yue. My sister was so angry she spat blood. She almost didn't make it. I never thought I'd be able to see her again in this life. We parted on bad terms. Yao Yue angrily left the hospital just as she reached the gate. She saw Gu Qinghan approaching. The two looked at each other. Then, Gu Qinghan's gaze shifted to Yao Yue. Her empty hand unconsciously clutched the bag in her hand tighter. Then she walked straight past Yao Yue and into the hospital room. She pushed the door open, took out the dumplings, placed them on a plate and brought them to me. Lin Feng, the dumplings are hot. Eat slowly. I quietly took the dumplings. I moved further into the bed, leaning away to show that I wouldn't forgive her just for a meal of dumplings. Gu Qinghan saw my actions and immediately moved back, afraid of affecting my mood to eat. The room suddenly became quiet again, but at this moment, The woman accidentally glanced at the trash can and unconsciously picked up the 3 documents inside. Lin Feng, why did you tear this? Isn't this what you've always wanted? Gu Qinghan said. Her eyes, which had initially lit up, then darkened again. She didn't know if this action of mine was because I wanted to stay by her side or to help Liu Ruyan get confidential documents. I tilted my head slightly, looking at the file in her hands. I thought for a moment and then changed the subject. Yao Yue is my biological sister. Hearing that, Gu Qinghan's eyes lit up again. She didn't expect that this time I would actually consider the issue of her jealousy. She was about to say something, but Director Wang walked in at the wrong moment. At this time, only one last dumpling was left on the plate. I hesitated for a long time. In the end, I still turned around and offered the plate of dumplings to Gu Qinghan. I'm full, you can have it for me. It's a waste to throw it away. Gu Qinghan looked at the dumpling in front of her, then looked at my reluctant gaze. In that instant, her heart melted with warmth. She no longer cared about chasing Director Wang out. Immediately, she picked up the dumpling and took a few bites. Seeing this, my gaze turned towards the door. Director Wang, when can I be discharged? With this injury, I recommend staying in the hospital for 2 months first. Hearing 2 months. I shuddered. I hurriedly turned back and tugged on Gu Qinghan's sleeve, looking at her with a pleading expression. Gu Qinghan looked at my aggrieved expression and immediately opened her mouth. But Director Wang didn't wait for her to speak and hurriedly nodded. Resting at home is also fine. Come for a checkup every 3 days, for 2 consecutive weeks. If there are no issues, then you don't need to come anymore. After saying that, he hastily left the hospital room. After getting the desired answer, I smiled in satisfaction, but seeing Gu Qinghan staring at me without blinking, I immediately wiped the smile off my face. Downstairs at the hospital. Assistant Jing in the car watched the 2 of us leave the hospital, his face filled with disbelief, because this time, Gu Qinghan didn't support me. However, Gu Qinghan really wanted to get closer, but she was afraid I would reject her, so she could only follow closely behind me. As for me, I was holding my breath. Although I felt smug, it was also really painful. After all, being forced. I still felt a bit humiliated. I couldn't bring myself to back down just yet. I could only deliberately avoid looking at her. After arriving at Jing Yuan, I looked around. I didn't see Lin Xiaonian. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan immediately explained. Nian Nian went with Mother Gu to a class reunion. She's not coming back tonight. Hearing that, I looked at the woman's unnatural expression. I knew she must have sent Nian Nian away. I didn't expose her. I continued walking inside. When I reached the lavender field, my steps slowed. I pouted. Finally, I returned to my room and shut the door tightly, waiting for Gu Qinghan to come out of the kitchen. She brought lunch to my room. I was already asleep, so she placed the porridge on the bedside table, intending to help me turn over. Her gaze fell on the large gauze patch on my back. She immediately remembered last night's absurdity. She staggered and collapsed to the ground. A moment later, she took a bottle of medicine from her bag and swallowed a pill. Her rapid breathing gradually stabilized. I felt a movement beside me. I opened my eyes to see the woman sitting on the floor, leaning against the edge of the bed with a painful expression. Seeing this, I hurriedly sat up in bed. I knelt in front of her. Are you okay? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Seeing my burning, worried expression, Gu Qinghan finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She buried her head in the crook of my neck. I'm sorry, Lin Feng. Tell me what I have to do to make up for the harm I've caused you? Hearing this, I sighed. I gently placed my hand on the woman's head. It's all right, look. I'm fine. When I recover. If you want, we can do it for as long as you like. However, after I finished speaking, Gu Qinghan still didn't react. She just nuzzled her head into my shoulder, helplessly. I lifted her face. You just have to promise me one thing, and I'll forgive you. Gu Qinghan was startled. She nodded repeatedly. Lin Feng, as long as you don't leave me, I'll agree to anything. I haven't thought of it yet. Just leave it for now. Then I'll wait for you to think of it. Lin Feng, I swear, that will never happen again. I silenced the words she was about to say with my mouth. Gu Qinghan looked at me so close to her. Her eyes slowly widened. Then, I moved my face away. How is it feeling better? Don't blame yourself anymore. At that time, I was just afraid you'd feel guilty, so I didn't talk about being punished. I'm also responsible for this matter. So, let's just end it here. Let's not mention it again. Okay? Gu Qinghan caressed my face and shook her head. Lin Feng, why did you go take the punishment? Your wound from that day hadn't even healed. 5 lashes in the punishment hall would have been enough to take half your life. You're the same. New wounds on top of old ones. But this is the last time. I promise I won't let you be punished because of me again. Hearing these words, Gu Qinghan trembled slightly. She never expected me to say such things. Looking at my determined expression, her eyes crinkled with happiness. In the end, Gu Qinghan picked up the porridge and forced me to eat. I couldn't refuse. I could only obediently open my mouth. After feeding me, Gu Qinghan affectionately wiped my mouth. Seeing I was a bit tired, she tucked me in, after a few words of advice, until she was sure I had closed my eyes and fallen fast asleep. She turned and went to work in the study. In the study, the woman stopped in her tracks. She half knelt. Her fingers brushed over the blood-red color on the carpet. Her whole body cringed. A few hours later, In the bedroom, my phone suddenly rang loudly. Hearing the sound, I frowned and pulled the blanket over my head, but after 3 minutes, the phone was still ringing incessantly. I shot up suddenly, but because the movement was too forceful, the pain in my back made me grit my teeth. When I picked up the phone and saw the name on it, I clenched my jaw tightly. Lin Feng, what are you doing? Your phone either has no signal or no one answers. Liu Ruyan's disgusting voice came from the other end of the line. I opened the window, suppressing my anger. If you have something to say, say it. You haven't gotten the bid proposal yet? The bidding event is in 2 weeks. As long as we get the base price and plan of the Gu Group and the plan, we will succeed, Liu Ruyan said as she became excited. As for me, I leaned against the window, expressionless. Liu Ruyan waited for a long time, but still got no response from me. She unconsciously glanced at her phone screen. Are you listening? Is there anything else? Lin Feng, listen to me. With Gu Qinghan's current power, I can't touch her, but we've worked so hard for so long. If this plan succeeds, plus your previous schemes, it will surely make it impossible for Gu Qinghan to recover. Then you'll leave Jing Yuan, and we'll live happily ever after, okay? In a few days, I'll go work at the Gu Group. As for that bid proposal, I'll find a way, Lin Feng. Our future happiness depends on you. Hearing the click from the other end, I took a deep breath. If this phone wasn't a gift from Gu Qinghan, I would have thrown it away long ago. Thinking this, I looked at the phone. Suddenly, a question popped into my head. That night, how did Gu Qinghan find me? After carefully examining the metal pendant on the phone, I suddenly understood. In the evening, I went down to the kitchen, knowing Gu Qinghan was still in the study. I thought for a moment, then took the food tray from housekeeper Sun's hands and went straight to the study. Since it was inconvenient for me, I used my foot to gently kick the door a few times. Hearing the noise, Gu Qinghan stopped typing and hurriedly got up to open the door. After all, besides me, no one else would dare to kick the door here. Lin Feng, why are you up? Gu Qinghan took the food tray from my hands and supported my arm. I glanced at her, then stepped inside. Wife, you're really too much. It's not like I can't move at all. After putting the food down, the woman immediately buried her head in the crook of my neck, leaning on me, using the excuse of recharging for work. I gently touched her head with mine, while arranging the dishes in front of her. Eat up, you still have to apply medicine for me later. In the evening, I lay face down on the bed. The woman was dabbing the red wound on my back. I thought for a long time, unsure how to start. Finally, I bit the bullet and closed my eyes, and decided to take the plunge. Wife, there's something I want to ask you. Can I go work outside? Hearing that, Gu Qinghan's hand paused. You want to leave Jing Yuan? I have to go to work during the day. Nian Nian has to go to kindergarten. What about you being home alone? You've kept me locked up long enough. You're the man of the house. Where do you want to go? I'll arrange it for you. Hearing these words, I was stunned. I turned back in disbelief. I never expected that Gu Qinghan would be so easy to talk to. Can you just come work at the Gu Group? That way I can see you anytime, and also help you. Gu Qinghan remained expressionless, but the fist under her sleeve was clenched so tightly it creaked. Which department do you want to work in? I'll have Assistant Jing arrange it. You agreed? Gu Qinghan nodded. She cleaned up the disinfectant supplies and put them in the medicine box. Seeing this, I had another idea. So, are you short of an assistant? I see that Assistant Jing works a lot every day. How about you share some of it with me? Besides, the school also requires an internship report. An assistant's job is very miscellaneous. Can you handle it? Hearing that sentence, and looking at her gaze, I immediately felt my intelligence was being insulted. But I didn't dare to retort. After all, I didn't know what an assistant had to do. How about this? I'll follow and learn from Assistant Zhang first. I believe that with my abilities, I can get used to it in a week. You haven't recovered yet? Let's talk about it next week. Then I'll rest for 3 days. In 3 days, I'll start learning from him. No hands-on work, understood. I'll tell him. Get some rest. I didn't expect her to be so easygoing. And agree to let me leave Jing Yuan. Delighted, I took her hand, intending to have her stay the night here. Unfortunately, the woman was not in the mood. She made an excuse about having work to handle and shooed me away. In the moment, the door closed. The woman's figure paused at the door, her hand still clutching the doorknob, not letting go. 5 minutes later, she finally walked to her own bedroom. Gu Qinghan looked at the brand new room, and the faint scent of lavender in the room. She gave a half smile. She lay on the bed and pulled the covers over her head. Lin Feng, even if I'm pushed into hell by you personally, you'll accept it. I just hope this dream wakes up a little later. 3 days later, I walked into the company. I went straight upstairs to find Assistant Zhang. After Assistant Zhang handed over the work in the office area, he returned to his office. Exhausted, he flopped down into his office chair. He had been busy all day, not even having a moment to rest. And then CEO Gu told him to show me the ropes of being an assistant. He got a headache just thinking about it. Then he wouldn't be able to speak his mind. Couldn't scold and had to keep a distance. Thinking of this, Assistant Zhang sighed. I stood in front of the office door. Seeing the man's dejected expression, I smiled, then shouted loudly, Assistant Zhang, I'm here to report. Hearing my voice, Assistant Jang was startled and hurriedly stood up and ran over. After a brief conversation, Assistant Jang took me to get acquainted with the tasks an assistant needs to do. I followed Assistant Jang, running around everywhere, visiting a few important clients, and doing many miscellaneous tasks. For example, helping clients buy things. We were busy until evening. Before I followed Assistant Jang back to the Gu group, the car had just stopped when I saw Gu Qinghan walking out of the company. After I opened the car door, Gu Qinghan rushed into my arms. "Why are you back so late? Have you eaten?" I quickly supported her waist, afraid she would fall. "Let's eat at home. Nian Nian is waiting for us." Once the car door closed again, and the car started moving, Gu Qinghan naturally let me lie on her lap. "Where did you go today?" "Went to meet clients, and also went to the construction site. I saw a lot of things, and learned a lot, as I spoke to prove that I was studying diligently." I showed her my little notebook. Gu Qinghan flipped through the notebook. When she reached the last page, her mouth curved into a smile. She opened the notebook in front of my eyes. I looked at the last page, where the name Gu Qinghan was written. I turned away in embarrassment. There was nothing to learn at that moment. I was just killing time. Doing other things in the company gets you a 200 fine. Hearing that, I shot up. "Wife, I don't accept you exploiting the labor of the people like this." Gu Qinghan looked at my sulky face, and couldn't help but pinch my cheek. "So what if you don't accept it? Go to the finance department tomorrow to pay the fine." As soon as we reached the gate of Jing Yuan, I ran out of the car to find Nian Nian. I couldn't be bothered with this capitalist anymore. Gu Qinghan watched my departing back, then turned to instruct Assistant Jang to check how much money was left in my account. On the other side, Lin Xiaonian was sitting in the main hall. Hearing the door open, the little girl immediately ran over. "Daddy's back. Nian missed Daddy so much." I didn't spare any words in expressing how much I missed her, and hugged the little girl. Nian looked up, and looked at my slightly gaunt face. She rubbed my cheek. "Was Daddy tired today?" I immediately said I wasn't tired. Then I wanted to pick her up. But as soon as I used some strength, my injured back was scraped again. The arm holding my daughter faltered. Lin Xiaonian still didn't know what happened. She just tilted her head with my movement. "Daddy, have I gotten fat?" Just then, Gu Qinghan came in front of me. Shielding me behind her, she glared at Lin Xiaonian. "Let me hold her, okay?" Then I saw my daughter run away in fear. I showed my displeasure. I patted Gu Qinghan. "She's still a child. Why did you scare her? She's a child. Are you a child too? If I weren't watching, you would have tried to push yourself again." At the dinner table, I didn't have the mind to be angry or not. I tried to stuff myself with food. I didn't eat lunch. My stomach was already starving. "Daddy, eat slowly. Eating a lot at night is hard to digest." Gu Qinghan said nothing. She just kept moving the greasy food to her side and placed the lighter dishes in front of me. Half an hour later, I watched the woman leave the table and go into the study. Then I turned to look at my daughter wiping her mouth. Nian, do you want to sleep in Mommy's room tonight? Can I? But Mommy's room doesn't have anything." I thought the room had been empty for a few days. It should be fine, so I continued to coax her. "Mommy's room has been redecorated. It even has bedtime storybooks. Wherever Daddy goes, I'll go too." Gu Qinghan never returned to her bedroom until 11 p.m. every day. While it was still early, I took Nian to the bedroom. "Daddy, did you decorate this?" Lin Xiaonian lay on the bed, looking at the room's decorations. I took a bedtime storybook from the bookshelf. "How about I lie down next to you? Do you like it?" "I like it. It feels so warm." Lin Xiaonian's small hands clutched the blanket, her face filled with unconcealable joy. I lay on my side next to her, reading a bedtime story. Half an hour later, Lin Xiaonian looked at me sleeping soundly. She gently pulled the storybook from my hand and placed it aside. Then she snuggled into my arms, falling into a dream with me. After Gu Qinghan finished her work, she passed by my room. Her steps paused for a moment. After stopping for a few minutes, she went straight to her own room. As she was about to turn on the light, she saw the people lying on the bed, father and daughter, leaning on each other. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan couldn't help but pick up her phone and took a picture of the father and daughter. Then, she lifted the blanket and lay down. Her hand caressed my face. Just then, Lin Xiaonian's soft, childish voice came from between us. "Mommy, you'll wake Daddy up if you do that. Why aren't you asleep yet? I was waiting for you, Mommy." "Mommy, why has Daddy been like this lately? It feels like Daddy has changed. When he wakes up tomorrow, will he go back to how he was before?" Lin Xiaonian looked up at Gu Qinghan. Gu Qinghan gently pressed her little head down. "He won't. Go to sleep." Hearing her say that, Lin Xiaonian felt reassured and obediently quieted down. Not long after, she fell asleep. Early the next morning, I opened my eyes and saw the mother and daughter sleeping soundly. First, I kissed the little one's cheek, then I kissed the older one. When the sound of the door closing was heard, Gu Qinghan slowly opened her eyes. Her hand touched the spot I had just kissed. Her lips curved into a smile. A moment later, Gu Qinghan went downstairs and saw housekeeper Sun standing outside the kitchen. After a brief exchange, she learned that I was going to make breakfast myself today. So, she narrowed her eyes and stormed straight into the kitchen. "Wife, why are you here? Aren't you going to sleep a little more?" I held a spatula in one hand and the user manual for the range hood in the other. Gu Qinghan looked me up and down a few times. She let out a sigh, then snatched the spatula from me. When Lin Xiaonian woke up, there was no one in the room. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and went downstairs. Auntie Sun, today's breakfast is so lavish. Lin Xiaonian stood by the dining table, looking at the dishes that were served. Young miss is awake. Your father and mother made these dishes today. Go wash your face and come eat. Lin Xiaonian trotted towards the kitchen. Seeing the two of us, one cooking, the other setting the table, she giggled and went into the bathroom to wash her face. When she sat at the dining table, Lin Xiaonian blinked her big eyes and kept staring at me. Daddy, are you going to work today? When Daddy gets his salary, I'll buy you a present, okay? Is that okay? Hearing this, Gu Qinghan, who was holding a milk carton, paused for a moment. She looked at me seriously, once again suspicious about my remaining financial situation. Time flew by. Gu Group. I saw Assistant Zhang standing dazedly next to Gu Qinghan. I couldn't help but walk over. Assistant Zhang, are you free today? Yesterday's work is done, so I'm relatively free today. Assistant Zhang said, but in reality, he was thinking that during this time, he could be a little idle thanks to me. A little more relaxed. Just then, Assistant Zhang's phone rang. After looking at it, he bowed to Gu Qinghan. Xiao Gu, Gu Yue Yao Lei has arrived. Hearing this, my hand, which was flipping through a magazine, paused, a bit confused, while Gu Qinghan nodded. Let her in. As soon as Yao Lei entered the house, she saw me sitting on the sofa. So, even when greeting, her eyes were always on me. It wasn't until they were about to discuss the cooperation that Yao Lei walked over. Regarding the bid in a week, I'm here to discuss a partnership. Why can't the Gu Yue Group win it? As CEO Gu knows, the Gu Yue Group's main focus is information technology. We are a bit weak in the real estate sector. Trying to handle it alone is a bit beyond our capabilities. CEO Gu is very straightforward, but I want to know what's in it for us if we do this. With the strength of the Gu Group, winning 3 of the projects is not a problem, and we also have the ability to win 2 projects. Wouldn't sharing the benefits from our cooperation be greater? Gu Qinghan tapped her fingers lightly on the table. The room fell into a brief silence. Not long after, Gu Qinghan said lightly, Assistant Zhang, prepare the contract. No need to trouble Assistant Zhang, I've already prepared it. There's just one thing I need CEO Gu to agree to. If one party fails to meet the set target, they must compensate the other party double the entire loss. Hearing this, Gu Qinghan gave a faint smile. She thought that Gu Yu's Yao Lei's calculation to shift. This risk was very clever. But Yao Lei used the excuse that she had a higher ability to compensate, to cover it up. In the end, Gu Qinghan reviewed the contract. This bid must be won. The Gu Group was also fully prepared. But the only variable in it was me. I listened to their conversation. Listening to the end, I suddenly understood. I had always wondered. Although these 6 projects were important, they weren't enough to make the Gu Group go bankrupt. But now I understood. It was the project that was stolen by Liu Ruyan. The Gu Group compensated Gu Yue a huge sum coupled with my interference in other joint projects. That's what led to that result. Thinking this, my hand tightened on the magazine. At the same time, Yao Lei looked at me. Lin Feng, what do you say? Hearing this, I didn't even bother to look up. I just stared at the floor. My wife's thoughts are my thoughts. Just ask her directly. After Yao Lei signed the contract and left the office, I finally came to my senses. After thinking for a moment, I went and sat opposite Gu Qinghan. Wife, is there nothing going on at the company today? Can I go out? I want to meet an old friend. I haven't seen them in a long time. Gu Qinghan looked at my pitiful expression. She couldn't bear to refuse. She could only nod. Come back early. Also, don't sneak off to have fun. If I find out, you'll have to go back to Jing Yuan. Hearing her agree, I immediately stood up and gave her a quick peck on the cheek. All right, wife, I promise I won't sneak off. I'll be home on time. With that said, I quickly rushed out. Mr. Lin, where are you going? Assistant Zhang had just returned and saw me rushing out. I'm taking a day off today. I'll find you tomorrow to continue my studies. Assistant Zhang was stunned. He just felt that his rare day of leisure was about to disappear. After that, he knocked on the office door. CO Gu, the results of the gentleman's asset situation are in. Send it to my inbox. Ah, CO Gu, the gentleman doesn't have that many assets. There's no need to send an email. Assistant Zhang handed her the piece of paper. Gu Qinghan turned slightly and looked at an A4 paper with only 1 line of numbers. What does this number mean? All of the gentleman's assets are in this bank card. According to the investigation, there is only 2,129 left. What about other assets? CEO Gu, the gentleman doesn't have any assets under his name. He voluntarily gave up his inheritance rights before. The Lin family's inheritance was all divided up by relatives. Gu Qinghan looked at that piece of paper. Her eyes lowered. Back when the Lin family had problems, I argued and didn't let him interfere. I said I wanted to handle it myself, but the result. The woman was silent for a moment. Her gaze turned to the window. Tell lawyer Zhang to organize all the assets under my name and come over in 2 days. Meanwhile, inside the mercenary organization, Yao Lei was in her office, flipping through the investigation documents she had obtained, her brows furrowed. No wonder he had to come back. He's really out of money. The woman looked at the account balance on the paper and burst out laughing. Boss, Da Xianzun has returned. At this moment, outside the office, an assistant came to report. Yao Lei narrowed her eyes. She let out a cold snort. Tell him to wait outside. 2 hours later, I leaned against a pillar, closing my eyes to rest. Another 2 hours passed. Yao Lei looked at her watch and left the office. The sound of footsteps came from upstairs. I slightly raised my eyes, but Yao Lei didn't even glance at me. She walked straight past. Seeing this, I could only block her way. Sister, what do I have to do to come back? We already talked about this at the hospital. If I remember correctly, you already refused. Sister, I won't divorce her. I don't need the Guyue group either. These are all my personal matters. They have nothing to do with the mercenary organization. Lin Feng, I'm just managing this mercenary organization for you. You can come and go as you please. Leave if you want. There's absolutely no need to ask for my permission. Besides, the founding capital for the Guyue group also came from the Havort group. It was originally your property anyway. I was stung speechless. After a moment of thought, if you don't agree, I'll return as Da Xianzun. He'll take the test with this batch of rookies. Starting over from the beginning. Hearing these words, Yao Lei was stunned. Watching me leave in a huff, she held her forehead in helplessness. I drove back to Jingyuan. I stayed there until 2 a.m., then I dragged myself out of bed. Next, I put on a black outfit, a cap, and a mask. I left the room through the balcony window. After that, I went to the parking lot. I drove a motorcycle away from Jingyuan. Gu Group. I parked the motorcycle in a place with no surveillance cameras and quickly approached the first-floor bathroom window. During the day, I had already broken the window handle here. I just needed to push it to get in. At this time, the building only had the faint light of the emergency lamps in the hallway. To avoid being discovered by the patrol staff, I could only take the stairs to the 26th floor. After a long climb, I leaned on the railing, panting. I thought if the documents hadn't been moved, they must still be in his desk drawer. I secretly looked around. I used a wire to pick the lock on the door and slipped inside. But as soon as the office door opened, Gu Qinghan's phone emitted an alarm sound. The woman who was dozing off in Jingyuan opened her eyes. She tilted her head to look at her phone. She sat up halfway, watching the surveillance feed on her phone. She unconsciously tightened her grip on the bedsheet, then she slowly closed her eyes. At this moment, I had opened the first drawer, searching through the pile of documents with a flashlight in hand. Soon, I found the document I needed. I took out my phone and took several pictures of the document. As long as I change the data and send the pictures to Liu Ruyan, then in this bid, the Liu family will go bankrupt. But to be safe, I will send these photos the day before the bid to avoid any accidents. Thinking this, I glanced at my watch. It was 4 a.m. I put the document back exactly as it was and then quietly left the office. In Jingyuan, watching me tiptoe out of the office, Gu Qinghan's lips curled into a smirk. When I returned to Jingyuan, slept and woke up, it was already 10 a.m. I looked at the clock and shot up. What happened? Why didn't anyone call me? Thinking this, I changed my clothes, hastily washed my face, and went downstairs. At this moment, Auntie Sun saw me rushing out and hurriedly reminded Mr. Lin. The young miss said there's nothing at the company today, so you can rest at home. Hearing this, I immediately stopped and breathed a sigh of relief. I thought I'd use this time to redo the document, so I took my breakfast up to my room to eat. But just then, Liu Ruyan's phone rang. I just glanced at it and continued to work on the document. 2 hours later, seeing that I was almost done, I finally called her back. I put the phone on the table. As soon as the call connected, a scolding voice came from the other side. What on earth is wrong with you? I haven't been able to contact you for days. The bid is in 2 days. You've been at the Gu group for so many days and you still haven't gotten the thing? My hand paused on the keyboard for a moment, my brows furrowed. Are you blaming me? Hearing this, Liu Ruyan's face turned pale with anger. She took a deep breath. Lin Feng, I'm not blaming you. The bid is about to start. Send me the Gu group's base price, so we can lower our amount accordingly. Do you understand? Don't be hasty. I already know the document's location, but Gu Qinghan keeps an eye on me so I can't get to it. So you don't have any other way? I heard from Assistant Zhang that tomorrow at 6 p.m., Gu Qinghan will go to City B and will return at 4 a.m. the next day. I can sneak into the company then to take a picture of the document for you. But isn't that a bit late? Liu Ruyan paced back and forth in her office. Can it be any earlier? If so, that's only 4 hours before the bid. It's going to start. The timing is too tight. I'll do my best. I don't know if it'll succeed or not. Then let's do it that way. It can't be any later. Lin Feng, our future depends on you, I replied softly. I waited for her to ramble on a bit more before hanging up. Then, looking at the documents in my hand, I gave a cold smile. On the other side, An Lan looked at the furious Liu Ruyan and hurriedly comforted her. How did it go? Did he get it? He's so useless, taking so long to get one document. If it weren't for the fact that he can hold Gu Qinghan back, I would have blocked his number long ago. Liu Ruyan angrily kicked a chair aside. Sister Ruyan, don't get excited. We're just one step away from success. As long as we win this bid, Uncle will definitely see you in a different light. That way, you can surpass your older sister and win the board election. Hearing An Lan say this, Liu Ruyan's mood calmed down a bit. You're right, my sister has always been better than me at everything. This time, I'll use this bid to take her down. When I become the chairman of the Liu group, we'll get married. That evening, at the Gu group, Assistant Zhang stood beside Gu Qinghan. He didn't dare to breathe too loudly. Ever since leaving Jingyuan today, CEO Gus' expression hasn't been good. Waiting until the helicopter was ready, he finally dared to speak up and remind her. Gu Qinghan nodded and stood up to leave the office. But as soon as she pushed the door open, she saw me leaning against the opposite wall. Assistant Zhang was extremely surprised to see me. He remembered CEO Gu saying I had taken the day off. Immediately after, I quickly walked to Gu Qinghan's side and took her hand. Wife, where are you going? I'm coming too. I've already taken Nian Nian to their house. It's work, you should stay. I'll be busy there until late at night. I pretended not to see her trying to pull her hand away and moved my hand forward again. Aren't you afraid? What's there to be afraid of? Besides, I got enough sleep today. Gu Qinghan looked at my roguish behavior and her mood improved slightly. She didn't say anything more, turned and left the company. I hurriedly pulled on my backpack, walked behind Assistant Zhang, trying to minimize my presence. On the helicopter, I remained silent, hugging the backpack. Gu Qinghan only glanced over a few times before looking out the window. The three of us got off the plane and went straight to the hotel by car. According to Assistant Zhang, tonight there is a business reception at the Dihao Hotel, which Gu Qinghan needs to attend. But as soon as I heard reception, I angrily punched my backpack. If I had known there would be food here, I wouldn't have brought so many snacks. Arriving at the hotel, Gu Qinghan went straight to the main banquet hall. While Assistant Zhang and I went to the rest area, I had just sat down when a phone call came in. I found it, I walked out of the banquet hall, find a quiet corner, and answer the phone. Sis, what's up? I saw your location is in B City, so I have a convenient mission for you. As long as you complete it, you can return to the Havort group. Is it that simple? In the banquet hall of the Dihao Hotel, there's a man named Zhang San. Get his brain-computer interface chip. Deliver it before 5 p.m. tomorrow, and you'll have succeeded. The picture has been sent to your phone. Oh, this chip is specially designed. Except for him, no one can remove it. Hearing this, the corners of my lips curled into a wicked smile. Then let's see if he wants his head or the chip. Be careful, he has quite a few bodyguards with him. After hanging up the phone, I moved my shoulder joints. Assistant Zhang looked at his watch, intending to go out and find me when he saw me entering through the door. I sat back down in my chair and started scanning the people in the banquet hall. Soon, I found the man from the picture. Assistant Zhang, who is that man? I sat down and found the man from the picture in an instant. That man's name is Zhang San. He's the son of the host of this party. I nodded, looking at Zhang San talking to my wife, feeling extremely uncomfortable. Reason told me to analyze the situation, find an opportunity, and then approach. But when I came to my senses, I was already standing next to Gu Qinghan. Everyone around was also surprised by my actions. He dares to go and pull Seo Gu away? Isn't he afraid of death? Zhang San looked at the person who suddenly rushed over and frowned. He put on a smile. Seo Gu, who is this? Gu Qinghan paid no attention, just looked at me. Seeing me sticking so close to her, the corners of her lips curled up unconsciously. What is it? Can't you sit still anymore? Hearing that doting voice, I instinctively looked at Gu Qinghan. In the end, I stiffly averted my gaze. You haven't eaten anything yet? Don't keep drinking. Zhang San next to them got a stomach full of their PDA. Suddenly remembering something, you must be Mr. Lin, right? Zhang San sized up the person in front of him. He had heard that CEO Gus' husband's name was Lin Feng, but their relationship wasn't good. Not only had they not held a wedding, but to avoid gossip, she had directly placed him under house arrest at Jing Yuan. I didn't pay any attention to him either. I just stuck even closer and took Gu Qinghan's hand. Gu Qinghan glanced at the clock. It was already 10 p.m. She thought she wouldn't be able to leave early. Lin Feng, there's a room upstairs. You go up there and rest first. When we're done here, we'll go home. I hesitated for a long time, but finally nodded. As soon as we left the banquet hall, I let go of her hand and walked ahead. Gu Qinghan looked at my jealous display and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lin Feng's room is on the 5th floor. Hearing that, I stopped, took a few steps back and entered the elevator. In the elevator, a beep sounded, signaling the arrival at the floor. I walked straight to the room without looking back. Just as I was closing the door, Gu Qinghan blocked it with her hand. She stepped in and locked the door from the inside. Then, she threw herself into my arms. Lin Feng, why are you acting like a petty woman? Are you jealous? I instinctively shook my head, wanting to push her away, but reason and emotion fought fiercely. I only struggled reluctantly, and then held her tightly. Lin Feng, if you don't want to go, let's just go home. You rest here for a bit. Go do your thing. There are many people waiting for you downstairs. Are you okay? Just stay in the room. Nothing will happen. At this moment, my reason took over. I stroked her head. Gu Qinghan saw that I was much happier. Then, we cuddled for a while longer before she left. 10 minutes later, I opened the door, looked at the empty hallway, and went straight to the hotel's surveillance room. Using a special metal wire, I easily picked the lock and started watching the banquet hall's cameras. At that moment, Zhang San was angrily leaving the banquet hall. On his way to the restroom, he even kicked a trash can. Now, he was distorted with jealousy, thinking that it was all my fault for ruining the hard-won opportunity to get close to Xiao Gu, who said Lin Feng was under house arrest. He's perfectly fine. He was venting his anger in the restroom. As for me, I had changed into a nearby waiter's uniform. Then, I put on a mask and a staff hat. I stood at the door, observing the surroundings. When I heard the sound of flushing water from one of the stalls, I smirked. I took a basin of water and poured it all in there. Hearing the curses coming from inside, I took the basin and left the restroom. Then, when no one was around, I snuck into his private suite. 5 minutes later, that man, in a helpless rage, stormed into the room and cursed out his bodyguards. Soon after, the man walked towards the wardrobe. The moment he opened the closet, I grabbed him and pushed him to the ground. Zhang San, due to the sudden suffocation, panicked. He wanted to call for help, but I had a tight grip on his throat. Before long, his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Seeing this, I took off my hat and observed my surroundings. After making sure it was safe, I turned him over and began to examine the connection port on the back of his neck. Halfway through, I pulled out a USB. I sighed. After thinking for a moment, I used tape to bind his hands and feet. Then I dragged him into the bathroom, threw him into the bathtub. Then, I turned on the shower. Cold water splashed onto Zhang San's face. He woke up with a start, but because his mouth was taped shut, he could only make muffled sounds. I typed a few words on my phone and placed it in front of him. Tell me how to get the chip out, or in 1 minute, I'll take your whole head, here for money. Then things are easy to discuss. But the very next second, I drew my weapon and started pretending to wave it around his neck. 10 minutes later, I wrapped the chip in a napkin, then washed my hands. From the air conditioner's outdoor unit outside the window, I moved to the empty room next door. Not long after, I heard the bodyguards breaking down the door of the room next door. Hearing this, I opened my door and leisurely left. Not long after, an assistant from the banquet hall hurried to find Director Zhang. He reported the situation. After Director Zhang heard, he bid farewell to Gu Qinghan and left the banquet hall. Assistant Zhang also walked up behind Gu Qinghan at this time. Xiao Gu, I heard that Zhang San was kidnapped and injured. Hearing the word kidnapped, Gu Qinghan frowned. She stood up and went upstairs. At the same time, I was taking a shower in the bathroom, trying to wash the smell of rust off my body. But just as I came out, there was a knock on the room door. Then Gu Qinghan's anxious voice rang out. Lin Feng, are you in there? I'm here. Why are you back? Hearing the familiar voice, I was slightly startled. I quickly hid the weapon, wiped myself hastily, then opened the door. After seeing that I was safe and sound, Gu Qinghan breathed a sigh of relief. But right after, her eyes widened. Your back wound hasn't even healed yet. How could you take a shower? Hearing this, I turned around and stood blocking her view. Gu Qinghan immediately blushed. She hurriedly stepped back, getting out of my line of sight. As long as you didn't take a shower, it's fine. Someone was kidnapped. The party has been canceled. So can we leave now? Gu Qinghan looked at my soaking wet hair, then looked at the clock. Let's rest here tonight. But isn't the bidding tomorrow? Hearing this, Gu Qinghan looked at me with an unreadable expression. Then she tucked the stray strands of hair on my forehead. We'll leave at 5 a.m. Go to sleep early. Good night. I watched the woman hurry out of the room. I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed, but on second thought, she treated me like this. Sooner or later, I will regain her trust. At this moment, in Zhang San's room, there were many doctors. After treating the wound on the back of his neck, they left one by one. Dad, you have to get justice for me. You couldn't see who the other person was? I only know it was a man. Wearing a waiter's uniform. We can check the cameras. We went to the surveillance room immediately. Today's camera data has been destroyed. It can't be recovered. What? So I have to suffer this injustice? That was my entire fortune. Enough. Stop crying. I've already locked down the hotel. We'll have people search every room. I don't believe we won't find it. Half an hour later, as I was about to go to sleep, there was another knock on the door. Hello, sir. Sorry to disturb you at this hour. Something was stolen from us. The thief might still be in the hotel. Could you allow us to check the room? Seeing the detector in the man's hand, I was startled. Then, I pretended to look at my phone. My face showed clear anger. Do you have any idea what time it is? We're sincerely sorry, sir. This is Director Zhang's order. Please cooperate with us. Seeing their attitude, I knew this Director Zhang, in order to get the chip back for his son, was going all out. Searching the entire hotel in the middle of the night, isn't he afraid of offending people? Thinking this, I yawned. My expression turned cold. Is this how your Dihao hotel treats its guests? What does their stolen item have to do with me? The staff saw that I didn't seem like an ordinary person and was momentarily in a difficult position. Seeing this, I pressed my advantage. I slammed the door shut in anger, and the moment the door closed, I rushed into the bathroom to flush the weapon down the toilet. They brought a detector, which proves the chip must be made of a special material. I looked around the room. Looking from the 5th floor, below was a large swimming pool. There were still people having fun in it. I immediately gave up the idea of throwing it out. Then, I wrapped the napkin-covered chip with tape, extending it about 2 meters. I let it hang down along the drain pipe, and used waterproof tape, leaving a small, transparent end to make it easy to pull up later. Just then, there was another knock on the door. I filled the bathtub with water and added some soap bubbles, then washed my face. Then I angrily went to open the door. "Mr. Lin, sorry to bother you." This time, Director Zhang had come. Everyone in the business world knows Gu Qinghan has a husband, but because he's just an adopted son of the Lan family, he can show his face in public. Therefore, they never even had a wedding. Hearing the other party's words, although polite, his expression was full of contempt. He looked me up and down. I returned his gaze with contempt. "What's the matter?" Although Director Zhang didn't think much of me, with Gu Qinghan as a shield, he could only respond politely. "Mr. Lin, my son was kidnapped not long ago, and the kidnapper is now missing. They might still be hiding in the hotel. For the safety of our guests, we have ordered a search of all rooms and public areas. Please cooperate with us." "Does my wife's room need to be searched? CO Gus' room is not necessary." Hearing that, I sneered. I stepped aside, then turned on all the lights in the room. Then, I turned and casually sat in the corner. A few men in black immediately rushed into the room. They rummaged through the room. I yawned, watching everyone scan everywhere with their devices. On the surface, I was indifferent, but inside, I was panicking. If they really found it by following the drain pipe, not only would the mission fail, but Gu Qinghan would also be implicated. As I was thinking that, a staff member with a scanner entered the bathroom. I was wondering whether to deal with these people or not, when there was suddenly a sound from outside the door. "What are you all doing?" Gu Qinghan stood at the door, glaring at Director Zhang. I felt like I had seen my savior. I quickly called out, "Wife," and waved. Seeing so many people in the room, Gu Qinghan walked in front of me and continued to look at Director Zhang. "Director Zhang, what is the meaning of this? Are you looking down on the Lan family thinking we have no one left? Or are you acting as if I'm not here?" Director Zhang looked at the furious woman and couldn't help but step back in fear. He silently cursed the unreliable rumors and put on a fawning smile. "CO Gu, please don't misunderstand. We were afraid the kidnapper was hiding in Mr. Lin's room, so we sent people to search. This is also for his safety." "So what you're saying is, a kidnapper can just freely enter and exit a guest's room? Is this the security system of the Dihao Hotel?" Gu Qinghan pressed him step by step. Director Zhang could only bow his head and admit fault, and withdrew all the searching staff. After the irrelevant people left, Gu Qinghan finally turned around. Seeing me with my head down, not saying anything, she couldn't help but tease. "What's wrong? Why are you so timid today? Where did your usual spirit go?" Hearing that, I scratched my head, then burst out laughing. "Aren't you here now?" I couldn't be bothered to deal with them. Seeing me refuse to admit it, Gu Qinghan smiled lightly, then pushed me onto the bed. "Then I won't ask any more." "Lin Feng, I arrived just in time. Are you going to give me a reward?" The woman moved closer, as her breath washed over my face. I don't know if it was because I had a guilty conscience, or if someone's gaze was too strange. I unconsciously turned my face away. "What reward do you want? Stay by my side. Don't leave me." After saying this, Gu Qinghan's eyes were red. Seeing this, my nose stung. After a few seconds of silence, I forced a smile. "So will you protect me? You know, men also have a few of those days each month." Hearing this, Gu Qinghan laughed through her tears. "Why do you talk like that? Lin Feng, I will protect you. Will you stay obediently by my side? I'll give you anything you want. You'll give me anything I want?" I put my arm around her neck, and Gu Qinghan softly hummed in agreement. "Then don't leave tonight." My meaning was very clear. Gu Qinghan's eyes immediately widened, then her breathing became heavy. Her small hand clutched the hem of her clothes at her side. She used her last bit of reason to ask me, "Lin Feng, do you see clearly who I am?" Hearing these words, I only felt bitterness, because I had turned the woman who loved me most, a confident and domineering female CEO, into someone so haggard and insecure. Thinking of this, my fingertips touched her lips. "I see clearly. You are Gu Qinghan. You are my wife." Before the words were even finished, the woman lunged forward. Unlike the time in the study, this time I just sat there, or facing the bed. Early in the morning, just as the sky was brightening, the woman woke up before me. She gazed infatuatedly at my cheek, but the smile on her face suddenly vanished when she thought of today's bidding. It disappeared instantly. In the end, she buried her head in the pillow and begged me in a small voice, "Lin Feng, don't let me taste happiness, only to push me back into hell again. I can't bear it. Buns, they're all yours. Just leave one for me." I mumbled beside her. Hearing this, Gu Qinghan chuckled. She nodded repeatedly. "They're all yours. The buns are yours, and I am yours too." An hour passed. I was woken up by my phone. Then, I suddenly remembered something. I shot up from the bed. Looking at the clock, there were 2 hours left before the bidding started. There's still time. I immediately sent the edited photos to Liu Ruyan. At the same time, the Liu group was as busy as a beehive. Liu Ruyan paced back and forth. When the file arrived, her legs trembled slightly. Seeing that time was running out, she glanced over it hastily. She told her subordinate to make some modifications just in time for the bidding deadline and sent the file for review. In the hotel, I put my phone aside. Looking at the empty room, my gaze swept over the note on the bedside table. On it was written, Lin Feng. You'll be right back, wait for me. Soon, Gu Qinghan returned. She looked at me on the bed and narrowed her eyes. I immediately saw the buns she was holding. I immediately threw off the blanket. Wife, you went back to the city? Why didn't you ask me to go with you? Aren't you tired from running back and forth like this? My eyes were full of heartache. My gaze still kept glancing at the buns. I felt even more moved inside. After we both changed clothes and washed up, Gu Qinghan had breakfast with me. I originally wanted to ask about the bidding, but she said she wanted to go home first. I had to act cute again. Wife, let me go with you. I also studied a related major. Maybe I can even learn something. Seeing me smile happily, Gu Qinghan's heart ached slightly, but she still nodded in agreement, knowing that in this bidding, 4 projects were already securely in the hands of the Liu group. The remaining 2 projects, the Gu Yue group was also coveting. Only the Gu group was certain to get nothing. Thinking of this, Gu Qinghan looked out the window. I saw that her expression was off, so I moved closer and asked what was wrong. Wife, didn't you get enough sleep? It's nothing, you eat. No way, you'll waste away just drinking porridge. With that, I brought a bun to her lips. Wait until she's done eating, then give her the porridge. 1 hour later, at the bidding event, a total of 20 companies are participating in the bid. All of them are companies selected through rounds from 26,000 companies in cities A, B, and C. All have gone through a rigorous selection process. They all have certain strengths and positions in their respective fields. I calmly sat next to Gu Qinghan, thinking about how I had spent a lot of effort modifying that file. With Liu Ruyan's intelligence, she definitely wouldn't notice. I just need to sit quietly and let her lose face. At this moment, Gu Qinghan glanced at me, her expression a bit suspicious. She thought I followed her because I wanted to see Liu Ruyan, but now I didn't even glance in that direction. Assistant Zhang, are you presenting later? I looked at Assistant Zhang, who was looking at the documents. His forehead was beaded with sweat. He was clearly nervous. Sir, the other companies are all very competitive. This project can afford the slightest mistake. Calm down. If you can't do it, I can go up in your place. I looked at the documents in my hand with an eager expression. I've revised the documents so much these past few days that I've memorized them. Now I'm just waiting for a chance to show what I can do. Meanwhile, Gu Qinghan saw how confident I was and couldn't help but tease me. On the other side, the assistant with Yao Lei kept looking at me being intimate with Gu Qinghan, then looked at Yao Lei's expression. He quietly scooted to the far end of the sofa. Liu Ruyan watched as Gu Qinghan and I grew more intimate and suddenly felt that something was wrong. But before she could think too much, the bidding event had already begun. According to the lottery order, we were the last to present. While the other companies were presenting, I saw Gu Qinghan resting with her eyes closed the whole time. I felt a little regretful. Knowing she had work today, I still kept her up all night yesterday. She even bought me breakfast this morning. She must have been very tired. So, I listened even more attentively, and I noted down the data loopholes that the other companies made in my notebook. Since the file has already been submitted, there's no room for modification, so the only way is to find the loopholes of other companies to increase our chances of winning. Assistant Zhang saw me studying so diligently and nodded in satisfaction. 2 hours passed and 10 companies had finished their presentations. Another hour passed. Everyone's face showed a bit of fatigue. The representative of the Liu Corporation went up to present, second to last. After they went up to present, Director Liu and Director Zhao below nodded continuously. Liu Ruyan saw their attitudes and was overjoyed. However, Assistant Zhang's face turned pale because the Liu Corporation's plan was identical to the Gu Corporation's. At the same time, Gu Qinghan sat up straight, her fingers clenched tightly. She originally still had a glimmer of hope, but now she immediately looked ashen-faced. Then, she gave the order to cancel the bid, preparing to withdraw. Assistant Zhang was momentarily flustered, but she knew that going up now would only do harm and no good. At a bidding event of this level, if identical materials appear, unless there's clear evidence to prove on the spot that the other party plagiarized, otherwise both parties will be disqualified. Thinking of this, Assistant Zhang looked at me. If the Gu Corporation insists on pursuing the matter, Liu Ruyan would definitely push me out. She thinks Director Gu couldn't bear to see my reputation damaged. That's why she did this. Seeing the two of them about to leave, I grabbed the hand of Gu Qinghan, who was getting up to leave. Wife, please, just trust me this once, okay? Can you just trust me this one time?